I don't see the session on live.
Canal français, je vous entends pas. Vous m'entendez?
Yes. But we are testing the interpretation. We cannot play the video right now. Are you already doing it? So.
French?
No.
Interpretation channel, can you hear me?
Good morning, everyone. So good to see you all bright and early. Good morning, everyone.
Oui.
Yeah,
Parle
so good to
français?
see you all. Amazing conversations have been happening the last couple
Oui,
of days.
très bien, je
And
vous entends.
today is actually the
Merci.
last day for Partners to Connect a Digital Development Roundtable. My name is Fiona Muthoni, and I'll be taking you through the sessions today. Before we start, I would like to mention that we have interpretation channels. For English, it is channel 1. French, it is channel 2. Spanish, channel 3. Russia, channel 4. Chinese, channel 5. And Arabic, channel 6. Also, if you do like assistance, just kindly raise your hand and one of the ushers will come to you to assist you. So now we're going to get into today's sessions. I'd like you all to help me welcome our next speakers for the next high-level panel and the amazing moderator, Mr. Thomas Vollmer. He is the Global Content Delivery Lead at Netflix United States. I'd also like to welcome all the speakers to kindly make their way to the stage. A round of applause as the speakers and the moderator make their way to the stage. Also, speakers, I would like to remind you to kindly do speak into your microphone. And at the end of the 3 minutes, you will hear a series of pings that will indicate that your time is up.
Wow, what a way to start our last day of Partner to Connect pledges. I'm Thomas Vollmer. I will be your moderator. I'm with Netflix, the entertainment company I hope some of you may use in the audience. We have 13 distinguished panelists joining us today, both virtually and physically. And we have 2 minutes buffer time. So we'll get right to it. And I will leave the floor to Ms. Esther Koimet, Principal Secretary, State Department for Broadcasting and Telecommunications, Ministry of ICT, Innovation and Youth Affairs, Kenya, physically.
Excellencies, distinguished panelists, ladies and gentlemen, we commend the government of Rwanda and the ITU for magnificently hosting the first WTDC in Africa. Kenya is proud to associate herself with the Partner to Connect digital initiative by the ITU in close cooperation with the Office of the Secretary General's Envoy on Technology. The initiative presents countries with a timely opportunity to creatively explore new partnerships for resource mobilization to connect the over 2.9 billion people globally that are still unconnected. In our vision of a digitally transformed nation, Kenya is implementing a number of infrastructure connectivity initiatives towards the attaining widespread access to ICT service support, capacity building, and promote innovation within the ICT sector. Through the Universal Service Fund, we have enhanced targeted programs geared towards promoting the rollout of ICT infrastructure and services in rural, remote, and underserved areas, ensuring availability of ICT services to women, persons with disabilities, and other vulnerable groups, supporting capacity building in ICTs and technological innovation, supporting the expansion of ICT services to schools, health facilities, and other public service organizations, facilitating the development of a wide range of relevant local content to support creative economy and for consumption of our citizens. We will leverage on opportunities arising from emerging technologies such as IoTs, big data analytics, AI, and distributed ledgers to achieve the promise of digital transformation for our citizens as envisaged in our national policy and strategies. Our strategies also dovetail into the AU Agenda 2063 and the UN SDGs, particularly SDG 9, that seeks to build resilient infrastructure, promote inclusive and sustainable industrialization, and foster innovation. Kenya strongly believes that the goal of ensuring every citizen benefits from the immense potential of ICTs cannot wait any longer. The call to action is clear. All countries, Kenya included, must now move with speed to narrow the digital divide. Kenya estimates that it requires about $258 million in the next 5 years to implement projects earmarked to achieve this ambition. This is our pledge under the Partner to Connect Digital Initiative. We therefore invite all prospective partners for more discussion on possible future collaboration and partnerships. Kenya reaffirms her commitment and support to the ITU and has offered her candidature for re-election to the ITU Council under Region D. We seek your support during the upcoming ITU Plenipotentiary Conference in Bucharest, Romania. Finally, I'm honored on behalf of the government of Kenya to invite all participants to the Kenya reception tomorrow, Friday from 18:30 hours at Terrace 2 here at KCC. We look forward to seeing all of you there. I thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Kermet. I would like now to give the floor to His Excellency, Mr. Deepak Balgobi, Minister of Information Technology, Communication and Innovation of Mauritius, joining us virtually.
Honorable Ministers, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, greetings to all of you from Mauritius. I would like to thank the ITU for giving me the opportunity to share the position of Mauritius with regards to digital development for the benefits of our citizens in an inclusive manner. Unfortunately, I cannot be present physically with you due to the national budget debates that is happening now, but my thoughts are with you. The success of a digitalization program, as well as an economic and social progress, rests heavily on access to one and all to connectivity. The outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic has convinced us even more of the importance of opting the digitalization of the delivery of service, whether period of practice or not. Mauritius embarked on its journey for digitalization a few decades back and has since made interesting headways. Today, we have reached internet coverage at 99%, broadband penetration at 137%, mobile penetration at 155%, and fiber to the home at 100%. We have also launched the 5G services in some regions, and next year we are going to operate our 4th submarine cable. Mauritius is also ranked first in Africa in the Global Cybersecurity Index 2020 and 17th in the world. We are also first in Africa in the Global Innovation Index and 52nd in the world. Ladies and gentlemen, last year, Mauritius has introduced the Cybersecurity and Cybercrime Act 2021 to protect citizens and businesses transact online. This new law is well adapted to the current situation prevailing in cyberspace, making our digital ecosystem more resilient and secure. In connecting people everywhere through modern connectivity and digital infrastructure has been our guiding principle. Dear colleagues, Mauritius is standing as candidate for membership in the ITU Council for Region D Africa for the term 23-26, with a view to working in close collaboration with the ITU and its members in order to harness ICT and digital innovations while seeking to contribute to achievement in the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development for the benefit of all. The MOSU, as a potential representative of the ITU Council, Mauritius will continue to promote collaboration among countries in the region. We are ready to work together, share our experience and learn from you so that we could, as one nation, as one continent, as one world, work together. We highly rely on your usual support and endeavor, and I thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you. I would now like to give the floor and introduce the video message of Her Excellency Ms. Gloria Carvalho, Vice Minister for the Development of Information and Communication Technologies, Ministry of Popular Power for Science and Technology of Venezuela.
Enviamos nuestro más cordial saludo en nombre del presidente constitucional de la República Bolivariana de Venezuela, Nicolás Maduro Moros, y nuestra ministra de Ciencia y Tecnología, Gabriela Jiménez. Es muy importante para nosotros este evento de hermanos, compañeros conectados, y Venezuela quiere presentarles brevemente cuál es nuestra capacidad en el área de telecomunicaciones que estamos dispuestos a compartir con el resto de nuestras naciones hermanas. Por ejemplo, en el área de certificación de equipos de telecomunicaciones, disponemos de un laboratorio de tasa de absorción específica, donde es posible medir la cantidad de energía electromagnética que penetra en el cuerpo humano, producto o de una llamada telefónica o una conexión prolongada a Internet, por ejemplo. Todo esto conforme a normas internacionales. Contamos también con espacios de cámara anecoica y semianecoica para ensayos de compatibilidad electromagnética, tanto radiada como conducida. En estos espacios es posible verificar la cantidad de energía electromagnética específica que emana un dispositivo eléctrico o electrónico para compararlo con las normas internacionales. También tenemos laboratorios de ensayo de seguridad eléctrica para validar que cualquier perturbación en la red pueda o no alterar el funcionamiento del dispositivo y, lo que es más importante para nosotros, representar un riesgo para la salud y la integridad del usuario. Y bueno, tenemos también la Agencia Bolivariana Aeroespacial, que se especializa en la recolección de imágenes de observación de la Tierra y el procesamiento digital de estas imágenes. En la ABAE, Agencia Bolivariana Aeroespacial, contamos con un nutrido grupo de profesionales que trabaja el procesamiento digital de imágenes, y hemos iniciado la cooperación con algunos países para intercambiar no solo las imágenes, sino también el conocimiento específico para filtrar imágenes, ya que nuestros satélites de observación cuentan con filtros que permiten, por ejemplo, evidenciar la presencia de algún tipo de mineral en la Tierra, caudales de agua, vegetaciones específicas. Sería para nosotros un gran honor y un placer poder interactuar y recibir en nuestros espacios de investigación a personal de naciones hermanas para potenciar el uso de estas facilidades. Muchísimas gracias.
And now we will hear from, And now we will hear from His Excellency Mr. K. Rajaraman, Secretary, Department of Telecommunications, Ministry of Communications, India, joining us virtually. Excellency, I think we have an audio issue. Are you muted? Up. We can't hear you, Secretary Rajaraman.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes, please go ahead.
Excellencies, distinguished panelists, ladies and gentlemen, good morning and good afternoon to all of you. It gives me immense pleasure to be part of the Digital Development Roundtable being hosted by Partner to Connect and the ITU in Kigali, Rwanda. The Government of India has launched a project named BharatNet, which is the world's largest rural broadband project. The project is being implemented in a phased manner to provide broadband connectivity to all the village panchayats and the villages in the country. Under the BharatNet project, 575,000 kilometers of optical fiber cables have been laid, and more than 175,000 headquarter villages and other subordinate villages have been made service ready. As part of the project, the last mile connectivity to access broadband services is being provided through multiple technologies such as Wi-Fi in public places at government institutions such as schools, hospitals, post offices, police stations, etc. We are also in the process of enabling a 5G rollout in 2022. India has also developed a domestic 4G and a 5G stack. On behalf of the Government of India, it is my honor to take a pledge in the presence of this August gathering for improving digital connectivity, bridging digital divide, and enabling digitally inclusive, empowered society. From the administration of the Government of India, the programmatic pledge under the theme of access is as below. With an ambitious aim to promote broadband for all as a tool for socio-economic development, while ensuring service quality and environmental sustainability, India, under the directions of the Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi, has embarked on one of the largest rural optic fiber rollouts and pledges to connect its 600,000 villages to broadband through its flagship initiative called BharatNet by 2025. I take this opportunity to exhort the ITU and the P2C fraternity to work towards fostering meaningful connectivity and expediting digital transformation globally, especially to the hardest to connect communities in the least developed countries, landlocked developed countries, and small island development states. Thank you very much, and Jai Hind.
Thank you. And now we will hear from Ms. Maria Victoria C. Castro, Undersecretary, Department of Information and Communications Technology, Philippines, joining us virtually.
A lovely afternoon to the ministers, our ITU officials, Secretary General Holy Zhao, ITU BDT Director Doreen Bogdan Martin, ITU TSB Director Chai Subli, and ITU BR Director Mario Maniwitz. Warm greetings also to our Partner to Connect team and the WTDC Secretariat. I wish to express my gratitude for giving the Philippines the chance to speak at this roundtable discussion. At present, the Philippine government is transitioning from the administration of President Rodrigo Roa Duterte to the new administration under our President-elect, Ferdinand Marcos Jr. We are pleased to report that the new administration's priorities include bolstering the nation through ICT to become well-equipped in the move towards digital transformation and digital economy. This direction means ensuring Filipinos from all walks of life to have access to affordable and reliable internet connectivity. In 2019, we conducted a national ICT survey to determine which areas and communities are in need of internet connectivity so that we could target these places by designing a network that is resilient, pervasive, easily accessible, and would not be too costly to build. About 82% of our population is without internet connectivity, and more than 50% are without any means of communication, such as radio, communal phones, and landlines. These pose a serious risk for people at a time when the ongoing pandemic is still causing a lot of confusion and inconveniences. We strongly recognize that information dissemination and efficient communication are vital in the global community's march towards the fourth industrial revolution. The Philippine government devised through its ICT arm, the Department of Information and Communications Technology, a framework that can help accelerate the rollout of much needed infrastructure to reach 82% of our population. We aptly call this framework the Chip Implementation Plan, corresponding to the key actions needed to realize our common goals of achieving an interconnected world that is equal, fair, and sustainable. The C stands for connect, H for harness, I for innovate, and P for protect. As the acronyms imply, the CHIP framework is created to build the foundational infrastructure to connect people and make access affordable and open for everyone. We also want to harness the potential of ICT-enabled services to help people build their digital skills and literacy. Once we have these tools, we want to explore innovative ways of providing day-to-day services in the face of emerging technologies such as artificial intelligence, blockchain, big data, Internet of Things, fintech, among other things. Lastly, this overall architecture should be well guarded and well protected from any malicious attacks, devious actions, abuse, and violation of human rights. The recent COVID-19 pandemic has inadvertently demonstrated the benefits and indispensability of connectivity. We would like to join the digital coalition of the Partner to Connect in the orchestrated efforts to expand connectivity, level up affordable access to technology, and empower people with the digital skills to use to access life-changing and enabling digital platforms and services. Under the Connect and Harness approaches of the CHIP implementation plan, the Philippines' efforts to accelerate digital transformation is gradually paying off. As we continue to extend connectivity to remote and far-flung places of our country through our national broadband plan and the Free Wi-Fi for All program. Parallel to this ongoing effort, we are establishing Tech for Ed centers in several areas to be leveraged for the expansion of the Digital Transformation Centers, or the DTCs, and to support the capacity building development initiatives of the government, especially in the countryside. In 2020, we joined other member states and the ITU in exploring the pilot implementation of the Digital Transformation Centers, which has been largely successful and promising in bringing more ICT skills training to people in hardest to connect communities. We are grateful that the ITU has recognized our efforts in this regard by awarding us with a 2022 WSIS Prize under the Information and Communication Infrastructure category for the initiative on the free Wi-Fi for all in geographically isolated and disadvantaged areas in Western Mindanao during the recently concluded World Summit on the Information Society Forum held in Geneva last year. Therefore, the Department of Information and Communications Technology of the Government of the Republic of the Philippines commits to expanding the digital transformation centers in cities and municipalities for the marginalized and the vulnerable sectors from 2022 until 2025, which will complement the rollout of broadband infrastructure to connect more provinces and islands. We intend to increase the number of DTCs as facilities where ICT skills may be accessed and where micro, small, and medium-scale enterprises, freelancers, and startups may be given support services to aid them in their businesses. Beyond individual skills and competencies developed, these interventions are intended to strengthen the capacities of various players in the ICT innovation ecosystem and enable them to be force multipliers and catalysts for digital inclusion, countryside development, and global ICT competitiveness. Further to this, the Philippine government intends to promote the diffusion of digital skills and innovations in every city and municipality, and encourage the development of digital innovation for marginalized and vulnerable sector in areas where the 4,000 Tech for Ed centers are located. Broaden the base of ICT innovators and early adopters of innovative digital tools and systems, as well as strengthen cross-sectoral partnerships in areas where the DTCs are located, and develop tripartite partnerships between local government, industries, and educational institutions that will foster context-based
Madam Secretary.
technology and systems. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And now Dr. Hossein Mirzapur, advisor to the Minister of Communications and Information Technology, Commissioner in the Communications Regulatory Commission of Iran. The floor is yours.
Thank you for giving me the floor, and good morning to everybody. I think we all believe that at least in this conference, developing countries should accelerate building infrastructures and connection network for all their citizens, regardless of their income class. But is there any a single one definitive path to reach that? Some developing countries like Iran have already implemented policies and have seen the results. So we believe that we can learn from their experiences, and probably there would be some shorter paths, and we can manage better the risks associated with those policies. Let me give you an example, a brief example. Today, the mobile broadband network in Iran has a penetration rate of 140%. It means that the SIM cards connected to the internet, to mobile internet, is even more than the number of Iranians. It's good. It could be a golden opportunity for transition to 5G, right? But that's not the whole story. There are some challenges associated with this opportunity as well. What is this challenge? In contrast to this golden opportunity, the development of fixed internet connection has been very, very slow and somehow neglected for a long time. Let me give you a fact. Today, the number of Iranian households connected to the fiber connection is less than 5%. On top of that, and because of, in spite of a long historical inflation, high inflation, the price of mobile internet has not changed for years. So today, the price of 1 gig mobile internet in Tehran is less than this small bottle of water, a small bottle of water. So what happened, especially particularly after post-COVID era, the mobile internet consumption has been grown dramatically. And in peak hours today, there is a pressure on our mobile networks, and there is a full congestion, and people, particularly young consumers who want to use gaming, they are not satisfied. They are not fully satisfied. To overcome this challenge, it has been pledged that the private sector and the government would invest around 2 billion euros in next 3 years. More than half of this money is supposed to come from the private sector. And of course, all of this will be spent by them, by non-governmental internet providers. I hope that before the next conference, more than 2/3 of Iranian households would be connected to internet fiber FTTH. And to do not neglect the mobile network as well, we hope that all villages with more than 20 households will be connected to broadband mobile internet as well. Today, about 85% of the villages, the same villages, they are already connected. And just to build this beautiful future, 3 main and necessary policies have been already considered in the commission I'm representative of. Because I'm the youngest member of this committee, I finish very well. I finish very fast. 3 policies. First, we should restructure the tariff pricing of internet, as I mentioned. Second, we increase competitiveness and reduce traditional and deposited monopolies in different parts of our networks. And third, we need to develop our public-private partnership models to attract more parties from private sector. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And now we will hear from Dr. Kim Malalieu, Deputy Chair, Telecommunications Authority of Trinidad and Tobago.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm pleased to announce that Trinidad and Tobago's pledges in the area of policy, namely the National Digital Transformation DT Strategy 2023-2025, which will serve as the overarching policy framework for the country's ambitious digital transformation agenda. Our strategy for DT, which we define as a new way to address the end-to-end consumption and delivery of goods and services to customers using appropriate digital technology, is structured around 3 central, interconnected, and synergistic pillars. the digital society, digital economy, and digital government. The Ministry of Digital Transformation, which has primary responsibility for the DT portfolio, has identified partnerships as one of its foundational principles. The elaboration of the strategy itself will involve close collaboration. We regard all stakeholders and actors as potential partners, domestic and foreign, national and international organizations and countries. We are keen to share our experience and expertise and to learn from the experience and expertise of others. We are comforted and emboldened that this aligns acutely with the Partner to Connect Digital Coalition and the overall work of the ITU, to which Trinidad and Tobago remains fully committed. Our DT strategy is grounded in the shared principles of digital inclusion, economic development, equity, and sustainability. And even as the strategy is being elaborated, precursor activities are underway alongside others that are planned. Adult literacy programs, digital literacy training for the elderly, ICT skills training in communities in the ICT sector. Broadband has been identified as a public good, similar to electricity and water. The National Digital Inclusion Survey, which gathered multiply disaggregated and granular data, demonstrates our commitment to data-driven strategies and solutions, and provides critical insight for interventions to enable every citizen, regardless of age, gender, ability, and location, to access fit-for-purpose technology and to be able to use it effectively. Among other things, the survey revealed that underserved communities can be found everywhere, in rural as well as urban areas. Another key component of the strategy is the development of digital transformation ecosystems as exemplified in our connected communities, envisaged as those which use digital technologies to optimally address the needs of citizens and businesses, collaborate between governments and citizens as well as businesses, innovatively address environmental challenges. We recognize that dynamic partnerships are critical success factors for our connected communities as they are to attain development objectives regionally and internationally. As I indicated at the onset, the government of Trinidad and Tobago is in full support of the holistic approach of the Partner to Connect Digital Coalition, and we look forward to building partnerships to realize the lofty but vitally important goal of connecting the unconnected. Thank you very much.
And now we will hear from His Excellency Mr. Thomas Schneider, Ambassador and Director for International Affairs at the Swiss Federal Office of Communications.
Good morning, everyone. Very happy to be here with you. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues. Switzerland is proud to be a traditionally strong supporter of the ITU in its mission to promote, facilitate, and foster affordable and universal access to communication networks. As the current pandemic has shown, it is more pressing than ever to overcome the still existing connectivity barriers. From a Swiss side, we therefore look forward to actively contributing to the Partner to Connect coalition. Apart from its broader engagement, Switzerland is specifically looking forward to supporting the GIGA initiative launched by the ITU and the UNICEF. GIGA aims at connecting every school worldwide to the internet. We are convinced that this is an important basis to achieve equal opportunities for every child. We are also convinced that GIGA's approach can and should be leveraged beyond school connectivity. We therefore pledge to support GIGA in various ways. First of all, we will contribute financially to the GIGA structure so that it can build on its initial successes and grow further on a solid basis. Secondly, Switzerland looks forward to offering expertise to GIGA. In order to reach the aim of connecting every school, we, the international community, will need to find innovative financing models to overcome existing gaps. To this end, Switzerland will provide support to strengthen expertise within the GIGA team. Thirdly, we pledge to support GIGA in building a global community of purpose to improve connectivity worldwide. We can reach this ambitious and important goal only when we join forces and when we pull on the same strings. GIGA offers the basis and the dynamic for a comprehensive approach. We want to make sure that the right actors are on board. Governments, tech sector, academia, finance institutions, civil society organizations, and other international organizations can all together play a decisive role. We are convinced that the establishment of GIGA's headquarters in Geneva will offer the basis to achieve truly meaningful and therefore sustainable connectivity. In this sense, we hope that many of you will join this common cause. The closer we all work together, the greater our impact for the next generation. I thank all of you for your engagement and the organization of this Partner to Connect Roundtable.
Thank you. And now I will give the floor to Mr. Thinley Dorji, Chief Planning Officer, Policy and Planning Division, State Secretary, Ministry of Information and Communication of Bhutan, joining us virtually.
Thank you. A very good morning to all, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Honorable Minister for the Ministry of Information and Communication, please allow me to take this opportunity to thank ITU and the government of Rwanda for organizing this very important conference. It is my greatest honor and privilege to participate in this August gathering and share our pledge to provide access to all the rural areas and households in the country with basic ICT and telecommunication services. Over the last few years, one of the main national policy objectives for Bhutan has been to make ICT accessible to every Bhutanese, irrespective of where they live, in support of our effort to ensure that the ICT and telecommunication services are made universally accessible at an affordable rate at all areas of the country, particularly in rural and remote areas. The Royal Government of Bhutan has initiated implementation of a rural communication program since 2009. Till date, we were able to implement 5 phases of RCP successfully through the Universal Service Fund, and we are now carrying out the 6th phase of RCP to connect 66 villages and 483 households. In total, a sum of nearly 1.2 billion was spent by the government to connect 754 villages in 154 development blocks with mobile cellular services. Likewise, 444 schools and 29 healthcare centers were also connected with a minimum of 1 Mbps lease line internet connectivity. However, there are still 1,252 households which are still not connected with the mobile cellular service and other internet services. Besides the other ICT development projects the government is undertaking, like the development of digital identity, enhancing the government to citizen services, the Royal Government of Bhutan pledges to continue providing access to the remaining areas and households in the next few phases of RCP, so as to accelerate and support the socio-economic development of these communities through the use of ICT. We strongly aspire to fully fulfill the transformative promise of the 2030 agenda to leave no one behind. In doing so, we shall seek your support to forge a meaningful collaboration to bring about meaningful connectivity across the nation. Lastly, please allow me to restate our commitment and pledge to continue with our effort to ensure every area and household in Bhutan have equal access to all the basic ICT and telecommunication services so as to bring meaningful changes to the life of our people. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you.
And now, thank you. And now we will hear from Ms. Nama Henig, Head of International Affairs Department, Ministry of Communications, Israel.
Thank you. I'm very pleased to be here this morning. Dear colleagues, it is my honor to address this panel on behalf of the State of Israel. I wish to thank Honorable Minister of ICT and Innovation, Ms. Paula Ingabire, and the people of the Republic of Rwanda for their incredible efforts and warm hospitality. We would also like to thank the ITU under the leadership of Secretary General Colin Zhao and the Director for Development, Director of the BDT, Ms. Doreen Bogdan Martin, who is here with us this morning, for their important work in bridging the digital divide and promoting the sustainable development goals in ICTs. Over the past 2 years, the COVID-19 pandemic has affected every aspect of our lives. Digital technologies have become crucial and continue to demonstrate the vital importance of significant connectivity to everyone. At a time when access to digital technologies has never mattered more, this conference truly represents an opportunity to work towards digital inclusion and ensure that no one is left behind. With that understanding and in line with the United Nations 2030 agendas for sustainable development goals, the State of Israel has taken several steps to promote these goals of ICTs. The ministry took concrete actions to enhance connectivity through access to high-quality broadband in rural areas and building digital ecosystems through innovation. To that end, we amended legislation to put forward new regulations that deal with the deployment of fiber optic, especially in rural areas. This was implemented while creating a set of incentives to encourage widespread deployment. In addition, a fund for universal service was put in place, which consists of 0.5% of the operator's revenues. As a result, it can be seen that the rate of access to speed fiber optic networks is increased rapidly, reaching roughly 60% of households in Israel. In addition, the MOC, together with the Israel Innovation Authority, started the pilot program to encourage the development and creation of applications and services in 5G. The joint program has to date granted 13 million new Israeli shekels in 3 rounds. I will be done shortly. To Israeli companies for developing applications in 5G technology. This program is highly successful and is considered to a digital revolution. It is also a significant growth engine for these technologies and for the entire Israeli community. Israeli economy. Through Mashav, Israel Development Agency, Israel has operated various programs which promoted digital development and aim to empower individuals and communities worldwide by sharing tools and expertise to achieve digital transformation with their societies. We also see greater importance and continue to hold bilateral meetings with the Palestinian Authority. We will continue to discuss and work with them on their update demands as we all want to see progress made. We pledge, I'll be done in a second, we pledge that Israel, as the chair for 2022 of eMERGE, the European Mediterranean Regulator Group, is set to sign MOU with the ITU with the aim to enhance the cooperation and bring best practices and knowledge within the region and the multilateral arena. Finally, we pledge that Mashav will continue to support, provide assistance, and develop training programs for digital transformation. I wish all of us productive discussions on these important, outstanding issues, instrumental to the success of the WTDC and the goal of connecting everyone and bridging the digital divide. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Bernadette Lewis, Secretary General, Commonwealth Telecommunications Organization, United Kingdom. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Excellency, fellow panelists, distinguished guests, 3 billion global citizens do not have access to the information and communication networks of the world, and many of them are in Commonwealth countries. The COVID-19 pandemic has demonstrated comprehensively that every human being needs to be connected and that digital transformation must be accelerated. But we have known this all along. And given the phenomenal changes that have taken place around the world, we cannot continue operating as we have been in the past. Our changed and changing world demands new approaches. And the Commonwealth Telecommunications Organization, or the CTO, is charting a new course to have a measurable connectivity impact in the Commonwealth and beyond. The CTO pledges to establish mechanisms for greater collaboration between the public and private sectors, civil society, and developmental partners in Commonwealth countries. The CTO will work with member countries and strategic partners to develop customized, integrated communication plans that are relevant to the local environment, as no one size fits all in our Commonwealth of diverse nations. The CTO will develop programs that will ensure that the citizens are able to use ICT to transform their lives, as connectivity alone cannot be the end game. And finally, we will put systems in place to ensure that our plans and programs are successfully implemented and that there is a measurable impact on connectivity in the Commonwealth countries and beyond. The CTO is therefore championing connectivity impact as an important policy objective, especially in rural, remote, and isolated areas. The CTO will be advocating for governments to use ICT to serve their citizens well, to build inclusive, progressive societies, and enhance national competitiveness. I thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And now we will turn to Mr. Jean-François Thomas, Chief Strategy Officer, Orange, Middle East and Africa, France. I'd like to remind the panelists online that we have a hard 3 minutes stop as we're running out of time.
Thank you very much, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. I am extremely honored as a member and representative of the business community to address such a prestigious assembly. With your permission, I will continue my speech in French. Merci beaucoup pour cette opportunité d'intervenir dans cette table ronde de la Coalition pour le numérique, Partner to Connect. Je souhaite saluer l'énorme travail de P2C pour mobiliser les ressources, les partenariats, les engagements pour une connectivité efficace, une transformation numérique à l'échelle mondiale. Orange est opérateur de réseau et créateur d'expériences numériques dans 26 pays, servant mondialement plus de 277 millions de clients. Orange a placé l'égalité numérique au cœur de son plan stratégique Engage 2025. Ainsi, Orange s'engage à continuer à investir dans les infrastructures de télécommunication en Afrique, au Moyen-Orient en particulier. Entre 2020 et 2025, Orange investira une somme cumulée de plus de 5 milliards d'euros dans 16 pays d'Afrique et du Moyen-Orient, dont une majeure partie, 3,7 milliards d'euros, sera investie pour étendre la couverture et la connectivité pour la transmission de la voix et surtout des données. Parmi les 16 pays dans lesquels Orange investira, 10 sont des pays les moins avancés, PMA, qui bénéficieront donc d'un investissement cumulé de près de 2 milliards d'euros au cours de cette période. Si l'investissement dans les réseaux est essentiel, il n'est pas suffisant. pour atteindre cet objectif d'égalité numérique. Aujourd'hui, 4 milliards de personnes, soit la moitié de la population mondiale, n'utilisent pas Internet ou utilisent mal Internet, alors même que 3,4 milliards d'entre eux sont déjà couverts par des réseaux. Orange s'engage donc à toucher 32 millions de personnes et d'organisations au travers de ses actions d'information et de sensibilisation sur la période 2021-2025 afin d'aider les personnes et les organisations exclues ou éloignées du numérique à prendre conscience de son intérêt. De plus, Orange accompagnera 6,5 millions de personnes dans l'acquisition de compétences numériques au travers de ses actions de formation à visée d'inclusion socio-professionnelle sur cette période 2021-2025 sur l'intégralité de notre footprint. Merci de votre attention.
Thank you. And lastly, we will hear from Mr. Xiaoyi Yu, President of China Academy of Information and Communications Technology, China, joining us virtually.
谢谢主持人，各位嘉宾上午好，很荣幸有机会参与此次世界电信发展大会，也非常感谢卢旺达和 ITU。当前新一轮科技革命与世纪疫情交织叠加，加快数字化转型，运用数字技术推动经济复苏和可持续发展，成为全球的共识。而提升数字素养，运用数字技术增强工作生活的技能和提升个人幸福感，也成为每一个公民的必修课。与此同时，数字鸿沟、能力差异等发展不平衡问题仍然存在，需要国际社会的高度关注。国际电信联盟始终致力于联通世界，在促进全球信息通信技术创新、协调发展、推动实现普遍接入、拓展全球数字连接、倡导国际合作等方面开展了卓有成效的工作。中国信息通信研究院广泛深入地参与了国际电信联盟发展部门的各项活动，积极提交文稿，分享了我们在宽带部署、农村和边远地区的 ICT 应用、消费者权益保护、信息无障碍等多个领域的研究成果和实践。我们也响应了国际电信联盟的各项倡议，开展了普惠金融的全球倡议试点项目，利用数字技术建设了中国电信普遍服务精准扶贫的大数据平台。同时，我们依托亚太区域高级培训中心项目，累计面向世界80多个国家和地区，2100余名学员开展了培训，促进了成员国的信息分享和能力建设。中国信息通信研究院在政策研究、网络规划、技术和标准研发、测试认证、产业生态组织推进方面具有丰富的经验。未来我们非常愿意继续积极参与国际电信联盟的各项活动，共享数字普惠发展、数字技术和数字经济领域的研究成果。为落实国际电信联盟能力的建设举措，中国信息通信研究院承诺，我们将面向发展中国家，到2025年免费为至少2000人提供一致性和互操作以及数字技术应用等领域的优质培训，与成员国一起一道，共同推动提升发展中国家的 ICT 能力和水平，助力实现联合国的可持续发展目标。谢谢大家。
Thank you. Thank you, distinguished panelists, excellencies. We have heard that connecting the unconnected is a goal that no single organization or company or government can achieve alone. Netflix is an entertainment company. We believe great stories can come from anywhere and can be enjoyed everywhere. And Netflix relies on the open internet for its members to access the stories that they love. As a member of the Partner to Connect coalition, Netflix pledges to partner with neutral internet exchanges and data centers to deploy content caching servers in least developed countries, landlocked developing countries, and small island developing states, improving local access to and the quality of streaming services for over 100 million people. We aim and expect to achieve 80% and above of content streamed locally in these communities, reducing the cost to backbone networks, driving the demand for high-speed broadband, and enabling the development of essential components of the digital economy. On behalf of all of the panelists, I would like to thank the audience and again, thank all of those distinguished panelists and excellencies, both here physically today and virtually. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much to our moderator, Mr. Thomas, and also our wonderful panelists. You may kindly take your seats. Thank you so much. A round of applause as they exit the stage. I'd also like to call upon our speakers for the next high-level panel to kindly be on standby. We'll be calling you to take the stage in just a few seconds. Thank you so much to our photographers for capturing the moments, but I'd like to call upon the next speakers to kindly take the stage. Thank you so much once again, speakers for high-level panel 9. Thank you so much. So ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome our moderator, Mr. Michael Wilms, partner and director, Boston Consulting Group, the Netherlands. And also help me welcome speakers for the high-level panel 10. A round of applause as they take the stage. Thank you so much. I'd also like to remind the speakers to kindly keep the 3 minutes as it has been indicated. If you do exceed the time, you'll hear a series of pings that will indicate that your time is up. So Mr. Michael, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. With this 10th and last panel, we will reach the end of an impressive overview of pledges. As we have a very full panel, I'd like the audience to only do a round of applause at the end of the panel, and we can make it a very big round by then. And now, without further ado, I would like to move to the first speaker of this panel. His Excellency, Mr. Nape Nnyowa, Minister of Information, Communication and Information Technology, Tanzania, who is joining us physically. Your Excellency.
Yeah, good morning, everybody. On behalf of the government of Tanzania, I wish to congratulate the government of Rwanda for hosting this ITU WTDC 2020 in the beautiful city of Kigali. I commend ITU, Telecommunication Development Bureau for placing Partner to Connect at the heart of this conference. Achieving a universal, affordable access to broadband communication is a key to social and economic priority for the United Republic of Tanzania. The commitment to ensure meaningful broadband connectivity for all focus on bridging not only the connectivity gap, but also the digital usage gap, as well as the bridging the digital gender divide. Tanzania is determined to ensure that access to broadband and its use is a reality for all. Access to communication services involve availability of network infrastructures, as well as terminal devices such as smartphone. Our pledges are: 1, we pledge to continue investing in expanding the national ICT broadband backbone for the purpose of connecting all regions and districts countrywide. To the government of Tanzania, connectivity is not only a luxury, it is a right of every citizen. Further, we are committed to ensure all 8 neighboring countries out of 7 currently having provision for national ICT backbone connectivity, have access to our national ICT backbone network, as well as subsea cables for international connectivity by 2025. The government is doing all these efforts together with the private sector. We also pledge to increase the penetration of smart devices, especially in the rural areas. We are currently reviewing tax measures to all electronic communications devices, such as smartphones, tablets, iPad, and computers, to ensure that these devices necessary for connecting the unconnected are affordable. Secondly, through collaborative and participatory approach involving policymaker, regulator, and service providers to come up with a device financing scheme where service providers can offer a smartphone to their customer and pay installments. Finally, may I take this opportunity to invite you all to the luncheon hosted by Tanzania on 14th June at Terrace 1, and we kindly request for your support to Tanzania candidature for ITU Council membership in the election that will be held in Romania during the ITU Plenipotentiary Conference. Thank you for your attention. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, also for this great pledge. Next, I'd like to move to the next speaker, Her Excellency Ms. Minette Libom Likeng, Minister of Post and Telecommunications of Cameroon, who is joining us virtually. The floor is yours.
Thank you, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is a great honor for me to take the floor on behalf of the Cameroonian government at this Partner to Connect Roundtable organized within the framework of the WTDC 2022 in Kigali, Rwanda. Permit me first of all to thank and congratulate the Rwandan government for accepting to host and organize this important meeting. Ladies and gentlemen, digital technologies are an important vector for sustainable development at the local level. It is therefore obvious that for developing countries, the ownership and mastery of ICTs is an indispensable prerequisite for initiating a qualitative lead towards emergence. This is the case in Cameroon, where, as a true visionary, the President of the Republic, His Excellency Paul Biya, was quick to grasp the revolutionary nature of ICTs presented by many specialists as the driving force behind the country's economic development and growth. Inspired by this presidential vision, the Cameroonian government has developed a strategy whose main pillars make it possible to develop the supply of digital services, increase demand, and strengthen governance and regulation, notably through the development of broadband infrastructure, the development of a local digital industry that contributes to the structural transformation of the national economy through the establishment of an ecosystem conducive to the detection of talents and the provision of support to the latter, the implementation of an effective regulation, and the reinforcement of digital confidence. All these measures are designed to improve the living condition of citizens, promote employment while taking into account the values of social inclusion, gender equality, promotion of cultural diversity, and protection of citizens. The Cameroonian government will continue to multiply initiatives to guarantee access and connectivity to all in our country through the enhancement of our broadband offering, the development of a local digital industry, as well as the strengthening of our regulatory institutions to attract investors into a level playing field to the benefit of all actors within the market. Ladies and gentlemen, at a time when ICTs are occupying an increasingly important place in the development of every nation, entire communities of people remain marginalized and excluded from the digital world. Our policies must continue to be inclusive to bridge all digital divides. I would like to thank the ITU and the Partner to Connect initiative for the effort made and to express Cameroonians' commitment to pursue policies and strategies that enable total inclusion. Thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for your contribution and this great pledge around building digital economy in Cameroon. Next, I'd like to move to His Excellency, Mr. Ernesto Rodriguez, Vice-Ministro de Comunicaciones of Cuba, who will be joining us physically and who will be making his contribution in Spanish.
Excelentísimos representantes de la UIT, distinguidos ministros, viceministros, delegados e invitados. Deseo felicitar a los organizadores de la CMDT y al gobierno de Ruanda por la calidad del evento y la fraternal acogida. Es un placer encontrarnos después del demoledor impacto de la COVID-19. La pandemia demostró ser un desafío global que provocó un agravamiento en las desigualdades ya existentes y amplió la brecha digital entre los países desarrollados y en desarrollo. Cuba favorece las acciones que propicien la construcción de un ecosistema de las TIC al servicio de los pueblos y en función de su bienestar. La conformación de estas capacidades está respaldada desde la máxima dirección del Estado y el gobierno cubano y está alineada con el Plan de Desarrollo Nacional hasta el 2030 y el cumplimiento sostenible. El desarrollo de los ecosistemas TIC en Cuba se sustenta en las capacidades profesionales, científicas e innovadoras formadas por la revolución, capaz de sortear los desafíos tecnológicos y encontrar soluciones de impacto social sobre la base de la creación de alianzas y la colaboración entre todos los actores sociales y económicos. Esta experiencia ha posibilitado incrementar el acceso a Internet y el desarrollo de plataformas nacionales con un amplio uso de las tecnologías libres. El país transita hacia la transformación digital, un estadio que requiere niveles superiores de organización, calidad y eficiencia de los servicios, así como un cambio cultural más allá del tecnológico en función de elevar la satisfacción ciudadana, la participación y la transparencia en los procesos gubernamentales, económicos y sociales con el uso de las TIC. El esfuerzo de Cuba en este campo es colosal, pues se ha llevado a cabo el proceso en un escenario complejo, marcado no solo por la pandemia y la crisis financiera, sino también por el recrudecimiento de las medidas coercitivas y unilaterales que el gobierno de los Estados Unidos impone a nuestro país por más de 60 años. A pesar del contexto adverso, Cuba apuesta por la implementación de políticas que reduzcan la brecha cultural, tecnológica y de acceso, a la vez que eleva la participación de los ciudadanos como centro de los procesos fundamentales de la sociedad. Estimados colegas, la CMDT es una cita para el compromiso, para la creación de alianzas y para fortalecer la colaboración. Creemos en el mandato de la UIT y consideramos que cuenta con la capacidad, las herramientas, los actores y la voluntad para avanzar en las prioridades de desarrollo en materia de las TIC. Cuba ratifica su compromiso con la Unión y comparte el empeño de continuar trabajando por un mundo más interconectado, inclusivo, justo y equitativo. Muchas gracias.
Muchas gracias, Vice-Minister. Next, I'd like to move to Her Excellency, Ms. Ami Niouf, Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Communications and Digital Economy, of the Republic of the Gambia. Minister, the floor is
Thank you, Moderator, Excellencies, distinguished delegates. Good morning to you all. The government of the Gambia associates itself with Partner to Connect based on the strong conviction that it fits in this quest to bridge the digital divide And as such, on behalf of the government of the Gambia, I wish to use this opportunity to commend ITU for coming up with such a laudable initiative. The government of the Gambia, aware of the fact that connectivity is not a luxury, but a fundamental human right, envisages in its national development blueprint to making the Gambia a digital nation and creating a modern information society. To achieve this goal, it has formulated the ICT for Development Policy 2018-2028, which in essence seeks to leverage the ICTs for sustained economic growth through the deployment, development, and exploitation of ICTs in all sectors of the economy through the following components: human capital development, ICTs in education, ICTs in communities, e-government, e-health, e-commerce, ICT infrastructure development, private sector development, promoting research and development, legal and regulatory framework. Also, the government of the Gambia over the last few years has been able to implement a series of activities geared towards improving access to internet, digital inclusion, and ensuring a safe cyberspace for its users as follows: established 8 regional Connect schools, Connect communities across the country, following the ITU support for the implementation of 3 Connect schools, Connect communities centers. Deployed 947 kilometers of fiber as national fiber backbone and 400 kilometers as middle last mile fiber across the country. Established the GMSAT to serve as a force response mechanism on cyber threats. Established an internet exchange point to reduce stress on the international bandwidth. Established a digital forensic lab for the Gambia Police Force. It has also formulated the draft cybercrime and data protection and privacy bills, which currently await enactment. Furthermore, to improve access to quality and affordable internet, the National Broadband Policy and Strategy was developed in 2021 with a focus on transforming the Gambia into a knowledge-based economy that thrives on accessible, secure, and high-speed broadband within an open access regime. To achieve the broadband strategy, the government of the Gambia has formulated the Universal Access Service Fund to support its implementation. The targets of the Universal Access Fund includes 100% mobile broadband coverage, 75% of household access to broadband connection within 2 years, 85% of population covered with 4G network within 4 years. All schools, clinics, and hospitals have access to broadband connection within 4 years. To achieve these targets, the government of the Gambia pledges to use the following revenue streamlines to implement the Universal Access Fund: 20% of all spectrum fees paid annually, 5% of license paid by each licensee in the ICT sector, and 30% of government share of the international voice gateway revenue. Additionally, the government of the Gambia pledges to commit its resources to enhancing the digital literacy skills of 5,000 Gambians, mainly youth, women, and the physically challenged, annually effective 2023. We therefore look forward to the support of partners to connect in the achievement of these targets, as well as the digital transformation agenda of the country. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for your contribution in this important pledge. Next, we are moving to His Excellency, Mr. Roberto Sanchez, Secretary of State for Telecommunications and Digital Infrastructures of the Ministry of Economic Affairs and Digital Transformation of Spain. The floor is yours.
Excelencias, señoras y señores delegados, distinguidos delegados, buenos días. Bueno, primero, muchísimas gracias al Gobierno de Ruanda, a la ministra Ingabire y a la Unión Internacional de Telecomunicaciones por invitarme a participar en este panel de Partner to Connect. Mis felicitaciones por organizar este evento. La verdad que es un placer compartir esta sesión. Lamento no estar en Kigali para hacerlo presencialmente y compartir con ustedes qué acciones estamos implementando para cerrar las brechas digitales en nuestro país y cómo contribuimos a la conectividad a nivel global. Para alcanzar los objetivos de la Agenda 2030 de las Naciones Unidas y alcanzar una transformación digital inclusiva, hemos generado una estrategia en la que es esencial la colaboración público-privada, especialmente en el desarrollo de las infraestructuras. Esta afirmación se basa en nuestra propia experiencia, fruto de esa colaboración público-privada. La red española de banda ancha es una de las más extensas en Europa, con casi 13 millones de líneas de fibra óptica hasta el hogar y casi 2 millones de kilómetros de cableado de fibra oscura, alcanzando ya el 90% de la población en un territorio, como es el caso de España, de orografía muy compleja, muy montañosa y con zonas de gran dispersión de la población. Las infraestructuras son esenciales para el desarrollo de la sociedad digital. Por eso en España, desde el Gobierno, nos hemos centrado en el despliegue de la red de fibra óptica y el 5G. Pero también prestamos atención a otro elemento clave, las competencias digitales, la formación, porque sin ellas la población no puede acceder a esta sociedad digital en la que ya estamos inmersos y, por lo tanto, si no se pueden utilizar las redes, no habremos alcanzado nuestro objetivo. Para cerrar esta brecha, en España hemos implementado un Plan Nacional de Competencias Digitales y puesto en marcha diversos programas, como el de Escuelas Conectadas, en colaboración con los gobiernos regionales para llevar la banda ancha a 10.000 escuelas. En el contexto global, me gustaría resaltar el compromiso de España para reducir la brecha educativa en el mundo con la iniciativa GIGA, lanzada por la Unión Internacional de Telecomunicaciones y UNICEF, para mejorar la conectividad en las escuelas del mundo, una iniciativa que vamos a seguir apoyando y reforzando en el futuro. La delegación española ha sido testigo del impacto de GIGA en las escuelas del país anfitrión. Enhorabuena al gobierno de Ruanda por ser el modelo para África. En este ámbito, permítanme resaltar también la labor del programa Profuturo, impulsado por la Fundación Telefónica y la Fundación La Caixa desde España, para que docentes y niños y niñas desarrollen competencias necesarias para desenvolverse en la era digital. Implementado en 40 países, ha beneficiado ya a 24 millones de niños y niñas y más de 1,2 millones de docentes. En el nombre del Gobierno de España ponemos a disposición de la comunidad internacional nuestra experiencia y pueden contar con nuestra colaboración para impulsar iniciativas que contribuyan a la conectividad global. Por último, y antes de concluir, me gustaría anunciar la candidatura de España al Consejo de la UIT y a la Junta del Reglamento de Radiocomunicaciones. Como miembro fundador y estrecho colaborador de la organización desde sus inicios, España queremos seguir impulsando el desarrollo de las comunicaciones y su universalización desde este puesto. Muchas gracias por su atención y otra vez enhorabuena a los organizadores.
Muchas gracias, Your Excellency, and great to hear the pledges to connect schools both in Spain and globally. Next, we'll move to His Excellency Dr. Santisuk Simalavong, Deputy Minister of Technology and Communications of Lao PDR, who is joining us virtually.
Thank you, Mr. Michael. Excellencies, ministers, distinguished delegate, ladies and gentlemen, Sabadi. On behalf of Lao PDR, I would like to thank the ITU for once again hosting this important digital roundtable high-level panel meeting. It does provide us the opportunity to contribute to the global digital development agenda. Lao government has committed to work toward facilitating the accessibility, quality, and affordability of telecom and ICT services for our citizens. In recent years, various achievements in terms of policies and legal frameworks have facilitated and played the crucial role in supporting the development of telecommunication and in the country, as well as the implementation of the SDG 2030. In November last year, Lao PDR launched a Vision to 2040 strategy for 2030 and 5-year plan of National Digital Economy Master Plan that integrated this plan into the 9th 5-year National Socio-Economic Development Plan. As you know, Laos is a landlocked country with 7.5 million of population. We have mobile coverage nationwide reached 95%, And 5G broadband is on pilot testing in the major cities. We have the vision for interconnectivity in transforming our country from the landlocked to land-linked with the region via digital connectivity. We also set the target to develop capacity for the ICT sector to have at least 3% of the total workforces in order to drive digital economy of the country. More than 60% of our population are still living in the rural area, and there are some with little connected, even from the very basic telecommunication services. The challenges on bridging the digital divide still remain inadequately addressed. With geographic challenges at the landlocked country, the estimated requirement for ICT and telecommunication infrastructure investment are huge and call for an enormous amount of resources. Our government is making the best effort to work with the telecommunication providers to improve coverage, accessibility, and internet adoption, as well as facilitate factors required for the implementation of our national digital development agenda. Under the new telecommunication law, we have planning to set up the universal fund so that we believe we can provide telecom and internet access nationwide. We hope there will be opportunities for our future cooperation starting from this conversation, discussion, and initiative, partner to connect for digital development. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for this great contribution. Before we move on, I'd like to remind our panelists to try and stick to the time as best as we can. Next, we move to Mr. Sidi Mohamed Aliou, Secretary General, Ministry of Post and New Information Technologies of Niger. The floor is yours.
Bonjour, merci beaucoup. Madame la directrice d'IBRT, Mesdames et Messieurs les ministres et chefs de délégation, honorables délégués, Mesdames et Messieurs, je voudrais, au nom du président de la République du Niger, Son Excellence Bazoum Mohamed, de son gouvernement, de M. Hassan Barazé Moussa, ministre de la Poste et des Nouvelles Technologies de l'Information, et au nom de la délégation qui m'accompagne, remercier et féliciter le gouvernement du Rwanda pour avoir accepté d'accueillir cette conférence qui est la toute première en Afrique. Mesdames et Messieurs, le P2C est une initiative à saluer car elle permet de mettre en relation tous les acteurs du développement. C'est pourquoi le Niger, au vu de la transversalité du numérique, propose à l'IT d'associer tous les acteurs et partenaires à ces projets. Mesdames et Messieurs, connecter tout le monde est un défi ambitieux et majeur. Pour relever ce défi, le Niger a construit plus de 5000 km de backbone national avec des sorties vers le Burkina, vers le Mali, vers le Nigeria et bientôt vers l'Algérie et le Tchad. Le câble est déjà disponible à la frontière avec le Mali. Une extension de ce réseau au monde rural est prévue à travers un projet pour connecter toutes les administrations publiques au niveau de 256 communes et un projet de connectivité rurale. Mesdames et Messieurs, le Niger, en plus d'énormes efforts consentis, est l'un des rares pays à avoir conçu et démarré un projet village intelligent pour connecter et déployer des services vitaux au niveau de 2100 villages. Le Niger s'engage à connecter plus de 15 000 villages d'ici 2030. Le Niger fait partie de l'initiative GIGA pour connecter toutes les écoles à Internet. Nous avons d'ores et déjà géolocalisé 18 000 écoles avec le soutien de l'UNICEF. Un projet e-learning pour connecter toutes les universités et grandes écoles sera mis en œuvre. La construction d'un data center national démarrera sous peu. Avec l'Union européenne, nous travaillons sur l'initiative Digital for Development, D4D. Pour encourager les investissements, le Niger a récemment adopté une loi pour simplifier l'obtention des licences et opter pour une licence technologiquement neutre. Le Niger a ratifié la Convention de Malabo et sur le point de ratifier la Convention de Budapest sur la cybercriminalité. Mesdames et messieurs, pour finir, j'ai le plaisir et l'honneur de vous informer que le Niger est candidat au Conseil de l'unité. À ce titre, le Niger compte porter la voix des non-connectés. Le Niger luttera avec tous les pays pour relever les multiples défis de connectivité. C'est pourquoi nous sollicitons le soutien et l'appui de tous pour l'élection du Niger au du Conseil lors de la présidentielle de Bucarest en Roumanie en septembre 2022. Je vous remercie de votre aimable attention. Merci beaucoup.
Merci beaucoup. And thank you for your great pledge as well. Next, we'll move to Dr. Adam Najem Al-Qurashi, Director General of the Planning and Follow-up Development in the Ministry of Communications, Iraq, who is joining us physically, and his contribution will be in Arabic. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Marika. السيدات والسادة السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته وصبحكم الله بالخير. العراق يمتلك مقومات النجاح والاستمرارية لقطاع الاتصالات وتكنولوجيا المعلومات، حيث يمتلك موارد بشرية 40 مليون نسمة، 51% رجال و49% نساء، وإذا جمعنا الرجال والنساء من الشباب يتجاوز 50%، وهذه نقطة قوة في بلدنا. كذلك الموارد المالية في العراق موارد مالية كثيرة، حيث تم تخصيص 300 مليار لتطوير البنى التحتية بشراكات مع القطاع الخاص في العراق وكذلك مع الدول المتعاونة مع العراق، وكذلك البيئة القانونية الآمنة التي تعمل عليها السلطة التشريعية لخلق جو آمن للاستثمار. ومما يساعد العراق هو الموقع الاستراتيجي الذي يربط بين الشرق والغرب. عملنا خطة استراتيجية طموحة برؤية عميقة، ماخذين بنظر الاعتبار طموحات الشباب وتطلعاتهم من الذكور والإناث، وكذلك الريف والمدينة. وقد رتب العراق الأولويات، حيث تعزيز وتدعيم الأمن السبراني وتطوير وتحديث البنى التحتية للاتصالات، واستكمال الحكومة الإلكترونية في مؤسسات الدولة كافة، وتشمل التعليم والصحة والزراعة والصناعة، والتحول الرقمي في تقديم الخدمات للمواطنين. ونحن نتقدم على المسار الصحيح ضمن الخطة المرسومة، مستثمرين التحول الذي حدث بعد عام 2003 من الاحتكار الحكومي إلى السوق التنافسي يقوده القطاع الخاص بالتعاون مع قطاع الحكومة. وأحب أن أستثمر هذه الفرصة لأشكر دولة الصين واليابان ودول الجوار الجغرافي في تطوير البنى التحتية DWDM والFTTH والIMS والIXP، ونتعهد لكم أن يقفز العراق إلى المراتب المتقدمة عالمياً في سد الفجوة الرقمية بين العراق والدول المتقدمة في خدمات الموبايل والإنترنت والنطاق العريض، حيث سجل العراق في سنة 2020 اشتراكات الخطوط الهاتفية المتنقلة 36 مليون و946,600، واشتراكات الانترنت النطاق العريض 20,678,849. نتطلع إلى تعاونكم مع العراق، لأن العالم أصبح قرية صغيرة، فلا بد من التعاون بين الدول كافة. ونشكر الاتحاد الدولي للاتصالات على هذه الفرصة، وكذلك نشكر دولة رواندا ورئيسها على حسن الضيافة، والسلام عليكم.
Shukran, Dr. Al-Qurashi. Next, we'll move to His Excellency Mr. Trapong Salanong, Commissioner of the National Broadcasting and Telecommunications Commission of Thailand. As Mr. Salanong is visually impaired, I'd like to ask you for your understanding that his contribution will take some more time.
Thank you. Excellency, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Despite the ongoing global pandemic, it is a great pleasure to be here, to engage in partner to connect alongside high-level representatives, to exchange visions and commitments to achieve the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Thailand is determined to maintain these pressures in order to achieve the UN Sustainable Development Goals. By, focusing on the equitable access to information via telecommunication technologies for all group of people. The digital transition brings about benefit for everyone to connect with better quality of communication services so that people more choices in both education and entertainment. Representing Thailand, the National Broadcasting and Telecommunication Commission and the community of people with disability. I have tried to connect people and society through dissemination of communication tools, expansion of broadband and mobile infrastructure, fair spectrum management, and setting incentive regulations to provide affordable services. The evident goals are to empower communities, increase basics digital skill necessary for personal and professional development, and to improve quality of life in the digital transformation era. Apart from my role as a commissioner, I have been a strong advocate for diversity and inclusion by enabling access of telecommunication and ICT infrastructure for everyone, regardless of age, gender, race, religions, including people with disability. I am honored to be a part of this Partner to Connect initiative that encourages further digital development and accessibility. I believe that all social groups, women, the LGBTQ community, and people with disability need digital skill and digital inclusion, which correspond with my motto that digital inclusion without accessibility is impossible. In closing, I would like to thank the government of the Republic of Rwanda for hosting WTDC this year, and ITU for organizing Partner to Connect as a platform for member states to engage in activities that promote exchange strategy to achieve the UN Sustainable Development Goals. Thank you very much. ขอบคุณครับ
Thank you very much, Mr. Salandon. And I'd like to especially also thank you for your contributions, highlighting the need to also connect people who are impaired in many different ways. Next, we'll move to Ms. Philomena Gnana Prakasam, Chief Executive Officer, the Asia Pacific Institute for Broadcasting Development. Ms., the floor is yours.
Thank you, moderator, and very good morning to everyone who's present here. The Asia Pacific Institute for Broadcasting Development focuses on media. And what does media do? For the last couple of days, we've been hearing about how 2.9 billion people throughout the world are still not connected. And what does this translate for media? During the pandemic, we saw societies, we saw people, there was a huge digital divide that disabled many people from having access to awareness of what's happening during the pandemic. I would like to quote a story of one particular country, a very rural area in the Asia Pacific region. One of the members told us, we came into town and we saw that nobody was there. We didn't know what was happening. And the reason simply because media was not able to reach these areas, and neither was connectivity. So just imagine coming out and seeing nothing and facing a blank road or an empty street, empty city. That was what happened in one of the countries in Asia Pac during the pandemic. And therefore, ladies and gentlemen, there should be no disparity in technology. Technology is the greatest equalizer and should not be a source for division. And therefore, the role of AIBD as a broadcast and media development organization, we aim to sensitize on the issue and create awareness among global citizens on the need for connectivity to all. All of you will agree with me that radio and television is not just going to be happening in a set that's in your living room or wherever you are. But today, you and I consume media via the mobile. And I think for that to happen, we need connectivity. Media players who are in this room will understand that connectivity, multi-platforms are crucial in order for media to remain relevant. And therefore, there is this pledge from AIBD that we want to bring an awareness on meaningful connectivity to everybody in the region. And besides that, we also pledge to support the digital broadcast and media ecosystem for public good by facilitating and formulation and development of digital broadcast and media policies. So AIBD pledges to train 1,000 digital media personnel who then are influencers who will go out and influence over 10 million people and train them positively and make them understand about the digital society, including media by 2027. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is the mandate that AIBD has to facilitate access to digital space and improving understanding on consuming digital services, including media actively. And I'd like to thank ITU and the government of Rwanda for organizing Partner to Connect and having us here from all the way from Asia and Pacific. Thank you.
Thank you very much for this great contribution. Next, we'll move to Mr. Thomas Silke, Head of Division, Office for National and International Standardization Policy and Patent Policy, the Federal Ministry for Economic Affairs and Climate Action of Germany. Mr. Silke will also introduce a video message from Mr. Björn Richter, Head of the Global Program Digital Transformation, Deutsche Gesellschaft für internationale Zusammenarbeit, also from Germany. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Dear ladies and gentlemen, dear panelists, on behalf of the German government and the German people, I want to first of all thank the ITU WTDC and the P2C team for organizing this fantastic event and bringing the world together here in Kigali. This kind of exchange between government, civil society, multilaterals, the private sector, and many more is crucial for driving inclusive change. Inclusive means gender, age, disabilities, and all kinds, and financial and social limits to access. Current global challenges ranging from rising food prices to climate change and its devastating impact are simply too complex to any of us alone to be solved. In order to live up to these challenges, we need to cooperate in a coordinated fashion. To speak the same language, We need standardized concepts and agree on a common approach. That is why we support the concept of digital public goods and infrastructure. The Digital Public Goods Charter, jointly initiated with many partners that I also see here in the room, takes this concept further into consideration. The GovStack initiative that we co-founded together with ITU, Estonia, and DIAL follows the same approach, collecting, compiling, and promoting global best practices for critical technological elements of a governmental's digital architecture. A coherent approach in itself is not sufficient when it is not co-developed by a multitude of diverse partners catering for individual needs, like in a low-resource environment. Giving everyone a voice and the resources to actively participate in the respective negotiations is the key for globally harmonized processes to leverage their potential. With that being said, I would like to hand it over to Mr. Björn Richter to elaborate on the pledge. Mr. Richter is a responsible person, and I have a strong thinking that he should do the pledge for himself and want to share it with you. Thank you very much.
Where the current geopolitical challenges hamper cooperation, collaboration platforms such as this ITU conference are even more critical to foster human-centered digital development. We are honored to be part of the event to shape the global digital ecosystem. Following up the introduction of my colleague, Dr. Thomas Zielke, we would like to reinforce our commitment to implement the Digital Public Goods Charter. We kickstart the GovStack initiative with our partners from ITU, Estonia, and DIAL, following up the strong belief that the digital government, building on standardized and reusable services, can add considerable value to the life of citizens. The German Development Corporation is pledging to support this ecosystem with the specification of 12 building blocks, reaching up to 2 million citizens in partner countries. We also would like to double down on our support for the initiative itself, pledging an additional 12 million euros as German GovStack contribution for 2022 and beyond. We look forward to continue our strong partnership with ITU and appreciate the visionary leadership of Doreen Bogdan for the implementation of public goods.
Thank you very much, Dr. Zielke, and also Dr. Richter. Next, we'd like to move to Mr. Michel Azibert, Deputy CEO of Eutelsat in France.
Thank you. Dear all, I'm delighted to represent the voice of the satellite industry in this eminent forum. Satellite is in fact an essential part of the solution to the digital divide that all of us here are determined to tackle. For transforming education, as proposed by the ITU UNICEF GIGA project and the Future Transforming Education Summit, or for implementing the Global Digital Compact of the United Nations, one of the main issues to be resolved is probably that of the last mile. Satellite technology can now offer a large-scale solution to this problem. Satellite is not slow, expensive, and destined for the future. It is now fast, affordable, and available immediately. Just consider the following. Last month, Eutelsat passed the 100,000 users mark across Wi-Fi hotspots powered by its Connect satellite across villages in the African continent. Eutelsat has invested over 250 million euros in Connect, a satellite that has been fully operational since 2021, delivering high-throughput broadband internet access to all rural areas not served by terrestrial networks in over 40 countries in sub-Saharan Africa. We opened our service a few months ago in Tanzania, in Gambia, and we're just opening now in Niger. Eutelsat has provided the Connect service free of charge to a number of healthcare facilities during the COVID period in the DRC, Nigeria, and South Africa, among other countries, to do its bit to help combat COVID. We are also providing connectivity to hundreds of schools in these countries, together with local educational content developed by African startups. Building on the success of Connect, Eutelsat is today committed through its P2C pledge to bringing satellite broadband over the next 5 years to more than 1 million Africans living in rural areas, most of whom have never had access to the internet. The Connect initiative is not limited to Africa or to the next few years, as Eutelsat will soon be investing in additional satellites to both reinforce the capacity available in Africa and to extend the service to the Asia Pacific and the Latin America, Caribbean regions, where the need is also significant. But as of today, and counting on the support of African governments to be able to go even beyond our pledge, and counting on the support of the ITU to preserve the spectrum resources for the satellites, please accept Eutelsat quantified and enthusiastic pledge for the fast deployment of fast internet everywhere in rural Africa. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Aziber, for your important pledge to ensure that there's affordable and fast connectivity across every country in the globe, I guess. Next, we'll move to Ms. Alice Munya, Director, African Innovation Maradi, to Mozilla Corporation of the United States. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. Your Excellencies, Honorable Ministers, and distinguished participants of the Kigali WTDC, it is a privilege to be able to address you today. On behalf of Mozilla, I would like to thank the ITU for this opportunity to partner on such a critical initiative. As a mission-based organization, we believe the internet is a global resource and should be open, healthy, and accessible to all. But as a result of the global pandemic, providing affordable access to telecommunications and internet for all has taken on a new age urgency. Only a few years ago, when network growth was still accelerating, there was an unspoken assumption that it was simply a matter of time before network operators connected everyone on the planet. Now, evidence tells us that the poorest and most remote communities in the world are still not connected. It is therefore essential to invest wisely and accurately in the development of affordable infrastructure and also, of affordable infrastructure. We are therefore proposing, an open data standards for transparency in telecommunications. Open data standard has proven to be an effective approach to creating high trust collaboration among multiple stakeholders for sharing data. Increased transparency can reduce duplication of investment and, most importantly, reveal opportunities for investments for governments and private investors. Examples of how open data has been successful in other sectors include the Open Contracting Partnership, which pursues transparency in public contracting, the Open Ownership, which campaigns for transparency over who owns and controls companies. So we expect the Open Data in Telecommunications initiative to enable a trusted framework of collaboration amongst all stakeholders. Therefore, Mozilla, with our partners, the World Bank, the ITU, Liquid Intelligent Technologies, C², Digital Council Africa, and the Internet Society, we pledge to promote the collaborative development of an open standard in the ICT infrastructure sector. We also pledge to begin by developing an open data standards for describing terrestrial fiber optic networks, and also develop a sustainable mechanisms for promoting public input, management, and adoption of those standards, as well as promoting a culture of openness and trust amongst regulators, infrastructure owners, and operators. I would like to thank our partners, the World Bank, Liquid Intelligent Technologies, the ITU, the Internet Society, C², and Digital Council Africa for their vision and support for this initiative. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Munya. Next, I'd like to move to Ms. Chat Garcia Ramilo, Executive Director of the Association for Progressive Communications of the Philippines. Ms., the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair, and good morning, everybody. For over 30 years, APC has supported affordable access and connectivity worldwide. Our pledges aim to enable bottom-up, rights-based and sustainable solutions for meaningful connectivity and digital inclusion. With our partners, we support 30 community connectivity initiatives in hard-to-reach rural and remote areas in 17 countries. I want to highlight here our collaboration with the Ministry of Telecommunications in Cameroon to develop public policy frameworks for community-led approaches to digital infrastructure with the support of GIZ. Our 3 pledges amount to $2 million, plus collaborations with hundreds of community organizations and international partners, such as Connect Humanity, Mozilla, and Connectivity Capital. We work with communities in Latin America, Africa, and Asia to set up and manage communications infrastructure using open source and low-cost technologies. Our first pledge, in partnership with the UK government's Digital Access Programme, is to train over 100 network facilitators from 35 communities to build and manage community infrastructures. These national schools of community networks in Brazil, Indonesia, Kenya, Nigeria, and South Africa are the first of their kind. We build awareness about the benefits of digital technologies for communities with a gender and human rights-based approach. Our second pledge brings together our advocacy for an open, safe, and accessible internet and builds capacity of advocates to promote gender justice and human rights in digital transformation. We foster an enabling policy and regulatory environment, as well as sustainable financing mechanisms for local access and community connectivity. Our third pledge, with Connect Humanity and Connectivity Capital, is to produce research and advocate for innovative financing mechanisms to unlock additional funding for community-based networks to connect the hardest to reach communities. It is only through collaboration that the world can reach universal, meaningful connectivity by 2030. We joined the Partners to Connect Coalition as a focus area, lead for its multi-stakeholder and partnership approach to close the digital divide, a persistent problem that demands innovative and bold solutions. As we emerge from the global pandemic where digital transformation has become front and center, innovative community-centered access models will complement existing commercial efforts for universal connectivity. Our experience shows this requires empowering communities directly affected by the problem, so they become part of the solution. For those of you interested to partner in empowering more communities, APC, ISOC, and Connect Humanity invite you to have coffee with us or with our delegates who are there at 15:45 tomorrow in Terrace 3. Please join us. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your pledge and also your continued contribution to the Partner to Connect program. Next and last, we'll move to Ms. Tula Ducas-Beltran, responsible for public affairs at BBVA Microfinance Foundation out of Spain.
Thank you. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, I would like to express our gratitude to the International Telecommunication Union and to the government of Rwanda. It is an honor to participate in this important conference and roundtable. Let me briefly introduce the BBVA Microfinance Foundation, a non-profit created with the purpose of promoting the sustainable development of vulnerable entrepreneurs through financial services, training, and advice for their progress and that of their families and communities. In short, the aim is to improve lives. Our 3 strategic priorities are social, economical, and digital inclusion, women's empowerment, and the environment. And the main levers we use are digitalization and social impact measurement. Currently, with our microfinance institutions in Colombia, Peru, the Dominican Republic, Chile, and Panama, we serve more than 2.8 million people under vulnerable conditions. And according to the most recent OECD data, we are the leading foundation in contribution to development in Latin America and the second in the world. We are well aware of the importance of bridging the digital divide to achieve our purpose. For this reason, we are deploying initiatives to bring connectivity, digital skills, and access to digital tools closer to the vulnerable populations we serve. And I'm glad to announce the BBVA Microfinance Foundation is joining Partner to Connect with this pledge. By 2025, through our microfinance institution, we have the intention to invest $8 billion in financing vulnerable entrepreneurs and provide digital solutions, development programs, digital skills, and internet access for their progress and that of their families and communities. We aim to impact in total the lives of 14 million people in vulnerable communities. And we will do this with a special attention towards women. We are convinced that working in partnership is the way to advance forward. Therefore, we are delighted to join Partner to Connect. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Beltran. I'd like to thank all of the panelists for their contributions. As we wrap up the 10 high-level panels, we've had well over 100 speakers delivering even more pledges. These pledges have varied from investments in infrastructure, improving digital skill sets, driving digital economy, the associated changes that are required in regulation, and also stimulating investment. Indeed, all of the 4 focus areas of P2C have been well represented in the pledges. Additionally, I have the honor to announce 4 more pledges from organizations who wanted to speak on the panel, but space unfortunately did not permit. The Alliance for Affordable Internet, with the support of the World Wide Web Foundation, pledges to focus on developing data and evidence around global connectivity. They will also continue the collaboration and partnership with the ITU to support strong policy advocacy to achieve universal, meaningful access. A4AI will champion a multi-stakeholder approach to policy change and work with 10 countries in the Global South to embrace the universality targets and good practices in the next 2 to 5 years. Ms. Eleanor Sapong, Deputy Director and Policy Lead of the Alliance, is in the audience for further questions if need be. Ericsson will commit to bridge the digital divide, including a sustained focus on access to education and digital skills. To reinforce this effort, the company aims to positively impact 1 million children and youth by 2025 by providing access to digital learning and skills development programs. Thirdly, on behalf of Vincent Cerf, VP and Chief Internet Evangelist at Google, and we apologize for not being able to play the video that he has sent. Google will pledge to continue its Grow with Google program, which has educated 94 million people so far, to also commit $75 million in cash and in-kind contributions in Southeast Asia and partner with Asia Foundation in their Co-Digital Asian program to achieve their digital transformation objectives. And lastly, to spend around $1 billion in the next years, including the implementation of the Equino subsea cable system, which is expected to drop cost by 21% and will increase speed by 3 to 5x. Google looks forward to engaging with the P2C coalition, and its Finns believe that the best of the internet is yet to come. Lastly, SpaceX wants to provide the following message. Starlink is designed to deliver high-speed broadband internet, even to places where access has so far been unreliable, too expensive, or completely unavailable. SpaceX pledges to enable Starlink service for 1 million students globally by 2025, with an emphasis on developing countries. P2C has been set up as a unique partnership to realize the acceleration needed to bring the last 2.9 billion unconnected people to use the internet in a meaningful way that improves their lives and livelihoods. As BCG, we have supported the P2C initiative as a knowledge partner from the start. We have supported aspects as wide-ranging as the Action Framework report, hosting web dialogues, and supporting all the internal operations. It's been a real pleasure and honor to do so. All the people from BCG that have worked on this effort have highlighted the energy and pleasure that they get from working on such an important challenge. Thus, we could not be happier with the great results so far and would like to congratulate Doreen, her team, and all the focus area leaders on the great success so far. However, we are just getting started. Real success is not measured by the number of pledges, but by the number of people we will actually be connecting in the coming years. To get the most out of all of these great pledges and to ensure that we get the biggest bang for the buck, we'll need to ensure that the pledges and their execution are well coordinated and targeted against where the need is greatest. The sense of community that P2C has created over the last year will thus need to be kept alive and further nurtured. So the work clearly also will continue. And therefore, BCG is happy to pledge that we will continue to support P2C as a knowledge partner. Doreen, we would like to thank you again for your great leadership, and we very much look forward to continuing on this journey with you and the ITU team. Let me close by thanking all of the panelists and the audience, both here on site in Kigali and online, for their participation and attention. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Michael, as well as our wonderful speakers for this particular session. This is the last panel, as you had mentioned. So I'd like all our speakers, if you could kindly take your seats. Thank you so much. A round of applause as they exit the stage. We are going to take a short break, but we will proceed with the program. Kindly let us all meet here in the next 15 minutes. We will proceed exactly at 11:45 a.m. See you all shortly.
É muito importante hoje aprender programação porque a gente está vivendo num mundo cada vez mais digital.
Na nossa oficina de Scratch, a gente aprendeu a como fazer um jogo e como animar, a dar vida aos nossos personagens.
O objetivo da oficina de Digital Storytelling é que cada menina saia daqui com uma história gravada. Elas escrevem história, narram a própria história, gravam áudio, aprendem em 2 softwares, um de edição de áudio e um de edição de vídeo. No final, elas saem com a história pronta no pendrive, uma história que está na mão delas.
A gente primeiro escreveu um roteiro sobre a nossa história, depois a gente gravou um áudio, a gente editou o áudio e vai transformar em vídeo com algumas imagens.
A oficina que eu venho ministrar aqui, ela fala sobre programação de drones. É um assunto super novo, é uma alegria poder levar isso para as meninas, para que elas possam também se sentir encorajadas a programar. E mais do que isso, que elas vejam um drone como uma plataforma onde elas podem aplicar essa programação e esse pensamento computacional.
E nós, da Thomas, viemos como equipe tutorar uma equipe de 20 meninas nesse projeto em parceria. E o que fazer quando a gente une uma empresa que trabalha com educação mão na massa e meninas de ensino médio, 17 anos, com fazer digital? Empoderá-las com educação em bloco, empoderá-las com ferramentas digitais, sejam cooperativas no processo educacional.
Hoje eu trabalhei com as meninas na oficina de Arduino e o objetivo é mostrar para elas que a robótica e essas tecnologias são acessíveis e são áreas que elas podem atuar como qualquer outra área.
Com a oficina de liderança, a gente espera que as meninas possam ter protagonistas das suas histórias, possam ocupar a cargo da liderança, possam liderar projetos no IFD, possam liderar projetos nos colégios onde elas estudam e na sociedade como um todo.
É muito importante hoje aprender programação porque a gente está vivendo num mundo cada vez mais digital.
Na nossa oficina de Scratch, a gente aprendeu a como fazer um jogo e como animar, a dar vida aos nossos personagens.
O objetivo da oficina de Digital Storytelling é que cada menina saia daqui com uma história gravada. Elas escrevem história, narram a própria história, gravam áudio, aprendem em 2 softwares, um de edição de áudio e um de edição de vídeo. E no final elas saem com a história pronta no pendrive, uma história que está na mão delas.
A gente primeiro escreveu um roteiro sobre a nossa história, depois a gente gravou um áudio, a gente editou o áudio e vai transformar em vídeo com algumas imagens.
A oficina que eu venho ministrar aqui, ela fala sobre programação de drones. É um assunto super novo, é uma alegria poder levar isso para as meninas, para que elas possam também se sentir encorajadas a programar. E mais do que isso, que elas vejam um drone como uma plataforma onde elas podem aplicar essa programação e esse pensamento computacional.
E nós, da Thomas, viemos como equipe tutorar uma equipe de 20 meninas nesse projeto em parceria. E o que fazer quando a gente une uma empresa que trabalha com educação mão na massa e meninas de ensino médio, 17 anos, com fazer digital? Empoderá-las com educação em bloco, empoderá-las com ferramentas digitais, sejam cooperativas no processo educacional.
Hoje eu trabalhei com as meninas na oficina de Arduino e o objetivo é mostrar para elas que a robótica e essas tecnologias são acessíveis e são áreas que elas podem atuar como qualquer outra área.
Com a oficina de liderança, a gente espera que as meninas possam ser protagonistas das suas histórias, possam ocupar cargos de liderança, possam liderar projetos no IFD, possam liderar projetos nos colégios onde elas estudam e na sociedade como um todo.
É muito importante hoje aprender programação, porque a gente está vivendo num mundo cada vez mais digital.
Na nossa oficina de Scratch, a gente aprendeu a como fazer um jogo e como animar, a dar vida aos nossos personagens.
E o objetivo da oficina de Digital Storytelling é que cada menina saia daqui com uma história gravada. Elas escrevem a história, narram a própria história, gravam áudio, aprendem em 2 softwares, um de edição de áudio e um de edição de vídeo. No final, elas saem com essa história pronta no pendrive, uma história que está na mão delas.
A gente primeiro escreveu um roteiro sobre a nossa história, depois a gente gravou um áudio, a gente editou o áudio e vai transformar em vídeo com algumas imagens.
A oficina que eu venho ministrar aqui, ela fala sobre programação de drones. É um assunto super novo, é uma alegria poder levar isso para as meninas, para que elas possam também se sentir encorajadas a programar. E mais do que isso, que elas vejam um drone como uma plataforma onde elas podem aplicar essa programação e esse pensamento computacional.
E nós, da Thomas, viemos como equipe tutorar uma equipe de 20 meninas nesse projeto em parceria. E o que fazer quando a gente une uma empresa que trabalha com educação mão na massa e meninas do ensino médio, de 17 anos, com fazer digital? Empoderá-las. Empoderá-las com educação em bloco, empoderá-las com ferramentas digitais, sejam cooperativas no processo educacional.
Hoje eu trabalhei com as meninas na oficina de Arduino e o objetivo é mostrar para elas que a robótica e essas tecnologias são acessíveis e são áreas que elas podem atuar como qualquer outra área.
Com a oficina de liderança, a gente espera que as meninas possam ser protagonistas das suas histórias, possam ocupar cargos de liderança, possam liderar projetos no IFD, possam liderar projetos nos colégios onde elas estudam e na sociedade como um todo.
Why broadband mapping is key to universal connectivity.
La moitié de l'humanité n'a pas accès à l'Internet. Ils devons faire en sorte que tout le monde soit connecté d'ici à l'année.
Getting broadband to more people is key to achieving universal connectivity. Broadband mapping can help by pinpointing areas without access to broadband. The interactive transmission maps developed by ITU help track connectivity around the world. The maps document over 20 million kilometers of global terrestrial networks. They support initiatives like Giga, a joint project between ITU and UNICEF to connect all the world's schools. Investors and network providers use broadband maps to make faster and more accurate decisions. These maps can support ICT infrastructure development to connect new and existing schools.
Open data and the sharing of information is crucial for this exercise because it facilitates the collaboration between investors, policymakers, network operators, for the planning and extension of digital networks.
For broadband mapping to succeed as a collaborative solution, a common approach is essential. Regional associations can drive harmonization efforts by bringing together regulators and governments and fostering cross-border collaboration. Better mapping is crucial to achieve universal connectivity by 2030. Learn more about broadband mapping at www.itu.int.
The world is rapidly changing. The internet is offering new opportunities, transforming our societies and evolving the way we interact, learn, and socialize. Every child needs to be able to benefit from these innovations. With every advancement, though, come new challenges, and the internet comes with its hazards and threats. Children can be exposed to shocking images and videos, interact with bad-intentioned people, get trolled on their social media, and bullied. This can affect the child very profoundly, hampering the development and create depression and isolation. Every child needs to feel and be safe online. Today, 71% of young people are connected. 1/3 of young people in 30 countries report being cyberbullied, with 1 in 5 skipping school because of it. 80% of children in 25 countries report feeling in danger of sexual abuse or exploitation online. Our vision is to create a world where children can be connected and able to fully benefit from the opportunities of a safe and trusted online environment. Our mission is to raise awareness, provide resources and tools to support children and their families, support industry and government stakeholders in crafting corporate and national child online protection policies and strategies. ITU holds the unique position with more than a decade of child online protection activities worldwide. ITU and its partners propose a global and collaborative approach based on proven expertise and successful technical assistance. By 2023, we aim to protect and empower millions of children through connectivity, where we aim to connect 10 million adolescents and equip them with digital safety skills. We will foster engagement with challenges, surveys, and polls, disseminate content and guides around the world in 50 national languages, run at least 50 train-the-trainer programs with ICT professionals, reach at least 5 million children with educational safety programs, and reinforce frameworks by providing 30 countries and the private sector with strategies and policies.
Okay, well, welcome back from the break. I'm David Kirkpatrick of Techonomy. You may remember me from yesterday. Don't worry, you'll get the great Fiona back in a little while. It's my pleasure to introduce the next session, special pledging session on Resolution 1408. And in order to launch that, let me introduce Yaroslav Ponder, who is head of the ITU Office for Europe. So Yaroslav, floor is yours.
Thank you very much, David, and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this special session. At its last meeting held in March 2022, the ITU Council adopted the Resolution 1408 on assistance and support to Ukraine for rebuilding their telecommunication sector. It's my pleasure to inform you that as an immediate response to this resolution, a number of actions have been undertaken so far by the ITU and the partners, including a special task force to coordinate all related issues have been created at the level of the General Secretariat. Regular coordination with the administration of Ukraine was introduced, aiming to identify the particular needs of the country and to prepare the proposals for effective technical assistance. Together with the State Service, ITU formed the team and kicked off the elaboration of the assessment based on the Connect to Recover methodology for telecommunication and broadcasting infrastructure assessments, establishing its resilience and taking note of the damage. ITU reinforced also coordination with the UN resident coordinator in Ukraine and UN country team to ensure that the value proposition on digital follows the One UN approach. In particular, these days, designing interim sustainable development framework for the implementation over the next 2 years. Moreover, ITU follows the national coordination mechanism, focusing on infrastructure and digitalization established by the National Council of Ukraine for rebuilding and reconstructions. Moreover, a special fund in trust dedicated to the implementation of Resolution 1408 was established. The current level of damages of the telecommunication and broadcasting infrastructure levels, several people and stakeholders out of the reach to the benefits offered by the digital technologies in Ukraine. This moment calls for the global cooperation in support. Therefore, with the aim of ensuring swift implementation of the resolution, we would like to invite all member states and other stakeholders to engage with the ITU to consider the following options: provide financial contribution to scale up, to enable scaling up of the implementation of resolution resolves, and submit the pledge commitment to the ITU partner to connect digital coalition. Ladies and gentlemen, many countries have already recognized enabling power of the partner to connect mechanism. In this context of the resolution 1408, they provided their pledges, including and not limited, and these were Poland, Lithuania, Estonia, Germany, Slovenia, Spain, UK, US, Japan, and UC, and others. Today, we'll hear from some of them, but before we delve into the subject, I have a honor to invite Mr. Yuri Shishol, Chairman of the State Service of Special Communication and Information Protection of Ukraine, to provide us an update from the country. Chairman, the floor is yours. Over to you.
Thank you. Hello, everybody, the distinguished guests and the participants of the session. I'm Yuri Shigel, the Chairman of the Administration of Ukraine. I am glad to welcome everyone present here, and I am honored to represent my country today. First of all, I would like to express my deepest respect and gratitude to you and to the International Telecommunication Union for support in such a difficult time for Ukraine. We welcome the United Nations resolutions of the 11th Emergency Special Session Aggression Against Ukraine and humanitarian consequences in the aggression against Ukraine, and also the relevant decisions made by ITU, including the ITU Council Resolution 1408 on assistance and support to Ukraine for rebuilding their telecommunication sector. We hope that the next important step will also be taken to end this immoral war. A full-scale brutal war started by Russian Federation has been continuing in the territory of independent and sovereign Ukraine for 4 months now. As a result of the aggressor's criminal actions, entire cities are being destroyed. The infrastructure of the country, including telecommunication and television, is ruined, but the daily human losses are the worst of all. The occupiers are destroyed communication in the temporarily occupied territories, intercepting communication channels, broadcast frequency, displacing and replacing Ukrainian television channels and radio stations with Russian propaganda programs, particularly in Lugansk, Donetsk, Kharkiv, and Kherson regions, in order to broadcast the propaganda and total disinformation of the Ukrainian people. The telecommunication infrastructure suffered the most damage and losses in such regions as Kyiv, Kharkiv, Mykolaiv, Chernihiv, Zaporizhia, Kherson, Donetsk, Lugansk, and the number of damage is growing daily. Rocket attacks on TV towers, damaging of cable infrastructure, communication nodes, etc. were carried out. Please let me mention few facts from our preliminary assessment of damage. More than 3,000 mobile operator-based stations are completely or partially shut down. Over 20 television stations are not operational any longer. More than 20% of telecommunication infrastructure is damaged or destroyed. Thousands of kilometers of fiber networks are not operational. Several cyber attacks affected function of the public and private sector, as well as individuals. More than 50% population were temporarily disconnected from the internet. Ukraine, as you know, belongs to one of the countries that have rapidly digitalized series of public services and made digital one of the key drivers of sustainable development. Dia portal that provides citizens with convenient online services such as e-passport, e-learning, e-support, and others is a proof that Ukraine is on the top of innovation. More than 17 million of citizens use Dia portal every day. However, without resilient connectivity, all these efforts can be wasted. It is not to deny that the numbers. I have referred before demonstrations the dimension of the further digital device that needs to be bridged as soon as possible. Moreover, the illegal seizures of telecommunication networks of Ukraine operators, change of the numbering system in the temporarily occupied territory of Ukraine, and illegal use numbering resources by Russian Federation as a member of the ITU as a violation of the fundamental requirements of the Constitution, Convention, and ITU regulation regarding the right of each ITU member state to regulate the telecommunications sector within its internationally recognized borders. This war is nothing else but the struggle of the democratic value, freedom, and economic prosperity of Ukraine. The actions of the Russian Federation with the participation of the Republic of Belarus as a violation of the fundamental principles of international law and the United Nations chapter, which undermines the foundation of global security and stability. We urge the global community to unite and oppose the war and the violation of United Nations and ITU values. Many ITU member states have strongly condemned the Russian military aggression, as well as the Belarus role in the war. But there are still many issues that need help from the Union and its member states. It is vital to understand that a massive sanction strike will help to save thousands of lives. Technological sanctions are designed to cut the Russian industry away from the technologies needed to build a digital future. The long list of advanced technologies banned on export to Russian Federation includes semiconductors, telecommunications, equipment, software for encryption as well, and others. We urge countries to join this process in order to avoid the protracted war the Russian Federation has already prepared for. The main purpose of the European Union package of sanctions is not just to harm Russia, but to make Europe independent of Russia, to cut all critical ties between the aggressor and the European countries, ties that Moscow uses as a weapon. We need a single strong position of the whole world to make sanctions effective against the Russian Federation, which are already in force and under discussion. This would make it impossible to circumvent this restriction if there is not truly painful package of sanctions against Russian Federation. It will consider its permission for it to go attack Ukraine. Finally, please let me call on international community to support all efforts to rebuild the telecommunication and broadcasting infrastructure. The level of destruction requires support that we may re-establish meaningful digital connectivity and ensure its resiliency. Thank you and wish to all peace. Do not support killers. Stand with Ukraine.
Thank you very much, Chairman, for this. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's my great pleasure to invite my colleague David, who will be facilitating all contributions, which should, and I remind, should focus on the implementation of Resolution 1408, which defined clearly the focus of our action and discussion today. So thank you very much, and over to you, David.
Thank you, Yaroslav. And I would just please point out that we're very tight on time and each speaker has 2 minutes and there will be a sound at the end of 2 minutes. So it's my pleasure to introduce His Excellency Janusz Szczyński, Secretary of State, Chancellery of the Prime Minister of the Republic of Poland, who is joining us virtually. So Your Excellency, the floor is yours.
Your Excellencies, distinguished colleagues, thank you for giving me this great opportunity. I'm very sorry not to be able to come in person to Kigali, but I welcome the opportunity to speak on this very important issue. The pledging mechanism isn't the ideal opportunity that will match needs with the offering, and all member states and other stakeholders can offer concrete commitments to support process of rebuilding Ukraine's telecommunications infrastructure. We have learned in the recent months how important it is, and Poland was took an active part by supporting 5,000 Starlink terminals to Ukraine to cover the most basic needs. But we all know that more is needed, and we sincerely hope that partners from all around the world will focus around this extremely important issue, which is the rebuilding of a free Ukraine after the Russian aggression. We hope that Poland and other countries will be able to deliver digital solutions that have helped Ukrainians, just like the Polish PESEL system, which introduced a digital identity for everyone who came to Ukraine, from Ukraine to Poland in the recent months. We are 100% certain that it's the digital response that will be one of the most important pillars of rebuilding Ukraine, and we urge all countries to spare no resources to support our Ukrainian friends. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Our next speaker is His Excellency Nicola Bellomo, Ambassador and Head of the European Union Delegation in Rwanda. Yes, I think you can just, if you have the mic, you can, okay. Just keep it to 2 minutes.
Yes, that's going to be a challenge, but good morning, everyone. Mr. Chairman, Director of the ITU Europe Office. Let me at the very outset thank you, the host country, Rwanda, and the chair of this conference, Honorable Minister Paula Ingabire, for organizing a very successful event, which allows partners from around the world to reaffirm commitments towards connectivity and open internet for all. We welcome the ITU Council Resolution 1408 on assistance to the reconstruction of Ukraine telecommunication sector, co-sponsored by 46 countries from all regions, and commend the ITU's efforts toward its implementation, including by organizing today's discussion. Since the beginning of the unprovoked and unjustified aggression by Russian Federation against Ukraine, the EU has stood united in support to Ukraine and its people, and has mobilized around 4.1 billion to support Ukraine's overall economic, social, financial resilience in the form of macroeconomic financial assistance, budget support, emergency assistance, crisis response, and humanitarian aid. As we heard a few minutes ago, the war has been causing not only unspeakable suffering from the population, it has also impacted the country's telecommunication infrastructure through the destruction of physical equipment and installations, as well as large-scale cyber attacks. Ukrainian government has not only been highly resilient in responding to these attacks and keeping its digital services running, it has also added new digital products which have facilitated life during the Russian invasion, such as digital services, enabling registration of the damaged properties and application allowing bank transactions. The European Union has contributed to these efforts by providing 10.7 million euro emergency cyber and digital support, ranging from software licenses to computers, from cables to server room ventilators, and from protective equipment to vehicles. We have also supported broader e-government ecosystem, such as creating data backups and business continuity. This is in addition to already ongoing initiatives and flagship projects. Allow me to highlight the participation importance of the role of the private sector in the international effort to support Ukraine. The EU will further step up its support by providing additional 15 million euro, which in line with Ukrainian government priorities will be spent on further promotion of digital state. Finally, when it comes to reconstruction, while it's too early to speak about concrete figures as proper assessment has to be done, the needs are growing and to be immense, and a major global financial effort will be needed. The European Union has taken a strong commitment to lead on the reconstruction effort, together with Ukrainian authorities, linked closely with Ukrainian European path and further reform. Once again, I reiterate, European Union stands firmly with Ukraine and its people. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I would just reiterate that we are really tight for time. So now I'd like to give the floor to Her Excellency Ambassador Erica Barks-Ruggles, the United States representative to the 2022 conferences of ITU and CITEL and Department of State, United States.
Thank you. Good morning. We are gathered at the ITU WTDC to focus on connecting the unconnected and to help make progress towards the sustainable development goals dealing with telecommunications. We in the United States share a commitment to increasing connectivity and access to telecommunications and ICTs based on the fundamental belief that the world is a better place when people can freely communicate with each other. And we are very pleased to be here in Rwanda to support this effort. We welcome Resolution 1408 to help Ukraine rebuild its connectivity in the wake of Russia's unprovoked and unjustified war, a war that has seen direct attacks on telecommunications infrastructure. The US government is working now in close coordination with private sector and international partners in supporting Ukraine's telecommunication professionals who continue to defend networks, repair infrastructure, and ensure Ukrainians have access to life-saving telecommunication and information, often at direct risk to their own lives. The United States is supporting Ukraine's continued access to the internet, helping to enhance Ukraine's cyber defenses through technical expertise and support to essential service providers to identify malware and restore systems. The United States has provided more than 6,750 emergency communication devices, including satellite phones and data terminals, to essential service providers and critical infrastructure operators in key sectors such as energy and telecommunications. Looking more holistically, we are supporting the telecommunications sector in other ways, including through ensuring power supply to the telecommunications sector. Looking ahead, I am pleased to pledge today that as part of the recently passed Ukraine supplementary assistance appropriations, we will provide additional cybersecurity to Ukraine to secure critical sectors, including the telecommunications sector. We are working now to deliver this support. We will also provide legal and regulatory assistance to support Ukraine's new telecommunications regulator agency. These programs will also respond to emerging needs based on the new assessments that are coming in now. At the request of the Ukrainian government, the Digital Connectivity and Cybersecurity Partnership is preparing to provide transportation communications equipment and supplies to Ukraine, as well as to establish a communications platform between the Ukrainian government and NGOs and other stakeholders to identify real-time emerging needs and provide assessments. We are also part of the Multilateral Partnership Fund for a Resilient Ukraine. We are very pleased to stand with the people of Ukraine in ensuring that they have the telecommunications they need in the future. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ambassador Barks-Ruggles. Our next speaker is His Excellency Mr. Yuji Sasaki, Vice Minister, Ministry of Internal Affairs and Communications of Japan. The floor is yours.
Excellencies and ladies and gentlemen, first of all, allow me to express on behalf of the government of Japan our sense of solidarity with the people of Ukraine. In March, the ITU Council adopted the Resolution 1408. This resolution is critically important, and we must act to support this resolution. In addition to the contribution already announced at today's P2C session, Japan will provide 100,000 Swiss francs to launch the new task force. Furthermore, we will invite Ukraine telecommunications engineers to Japan for capacity building and to help accelerate the rebuilding of the telecommunication sector in Ukraine. Japan remains fully committed to supporting telecommunications and ICT development through ITUD. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sasaki. Our next speaker is Ms. Jūratė Suvienė, Chair of the Council of the Communications Regulatory Authority of Lithuania. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues, I would really like to thank ITU for setting up Partner to Connect program, for creating possibilities to provide targeted help to the countries and areas where it is necessary to foster further connectivity. Lithuania, in terms of national communications regulator, has decided to participate in Partner to Connect program to help our neighbor Ukraine. Together with ITU, we pledge to a commitment to prepare a study that will aim to gather data and assess information on the damages to connectivity of the Ukraine's telecommunications sector. The term of our commitment is up to, from 2 to 4 months. It will be a programmatic support of up to 20,000 euros from Lithuanian authorities. Our target is to finish study prior to PP 22 in Bucharest. After a tragedy and atrocities, the study will serve as a green book on the road to finance rebuilding of Ukraine's telecommunications sector. Such a brave country like Ukraine, with strong aspiration of sovereignty, independence, unity, and peace, deserves our help and support. Thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you very much. Our final speaker is Mr. Paul Gaskell, Deputy Director, Department of Digital, Culture, Media and Sport of the United Kingdom. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. The UK's wider position with regard to the invasion of and war in Ukraine and our solidarity with the Ukrainian people is well known. This includes the provision of substantial military aid, but I will focus my brief remarks today on UK support in other areas. We are supporting Ukraine in the ITU. We welcome the ITU Council Resolution 1408, assistance and support to Ukraine for rebuilding their telecommunication sector. And we note that this resolution was passed with no votes against. The UK is fully committed to working closely with ITU member states and the ITU to deliver the objectives of this resolution effectively. We must all support Ukraine in its hour of need, and the UK is examining what more we can do in this area. The UK is already supporting Ukraine's cyber capability. The UK has mobilized just under $8 million of support to defend Ukraine from hostile cyber attacks. We have also dedicated significant resource to monitor, understand and counter hostile cyber threats, and we are sharing this information with our allies. Very briefly, we are also providing humanitarian aid. We have provided $275 million of humanitarian assistance to Ukraine. We're providing medical assistance, and we've so far donated over $6.25 million worth of medical items. More will follow, and we have finally over 320 UK staff working in the region in response to the crisis. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And now I'd like to turn the floor back over to Jaroslav Ponder, the ITU European head.
Thank you very much, David. Thank you very much, dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. This brings us to the end of this special pledging session. This was just only the beginning of the journey. As you have heard, the needs are quite big, and we count on the support of all stakeholders. This, what we've heard today, is only some sample of this, what we can do to rebuild the infrastructure in line with the resolution 1408, and your support is really needed. So please don't hesitate to use this opportunity to still to being on site, to contact us and to say what you can do in order to advance and scale up the implementation of the resolution 1408. And saying this, I would like to thank very much to the all our audience, but also all our speakers who provided us the glimpse of their commitments. And with this, we can declare this part of the event closed. And we would like to request you for patience for 2 minutes, because in 2 minutes we'll be going ahead with the closing ceremony. So thank you very much with this, and just seeing you very, very soon. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ponder and David, for taking us through the spotlight sessions. We're actually going to dive right into the final session of the Partner to Connect Digital Development Roundtable. And this session will actually be highlighting the key outcomes of the event. And I would like to to ask you if you can help me welcome to the stage our speakers who will be taking through this closing session. I'd like to welcome Ms. Doreen Bogdan-Martin. She is the Director, Telecommunication Development Bureau, ITU. A round of applause as she makes her way to the stage. I'd also like to welcome Honorable Ms. Paula Ingabire, Minister of Information, Communication, Technology and Innovation, Rwanda, to also join her on stage. We also have Her Excellency Ursula Owusu Ekufu. She is the Minister of Communications and Digitalization, Ghana, and she is also Focus Area Leader, Partner to Connect Digital Coalition. A round of applause. And lastly, I would like to welcome Mr. Holin Zhao, Secretary General of ITU. A round of applause as he makes his way. We'll start with Ms. Doreen Bogdan-Martin. If you could kindly deliver your remarks.
Thank you. Thank you, Fiona. I hope you can hear me. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all of you joining us remotely. What an incredible, inspiring 2 half days and 1 full day we have had. When we kicked off on Tuesday, actually, let me go back. When we opened on Monday, the WTDC, I mentioned that we had received 200 pledges. When we opened on Tuesday, P2C, it was 250, which together actually represented an estimated value of 15.8 billion. And today, I am so excited to say, and my team has been completely overwhelmed by the global response, but in the space of 44 hours, the number of P2C pledges has grown by 44%. We are closing. It is very exciting, gives me goosebumps. So we are closing this roundtable today with more than 360 pledges. With the staggering estimated value at 18.5 billion, which is just amazing. The leaders that have come forward have shown their commitment to universal, meaningful connectivity by pledging financial resources, by pledging ambitious and groundbreaking digital development programs with a focus on youth, with a focus on persons with disabilities, with a focus on gender, capacity development, digital skill building. We've had pledges on enlightened and enabling ICT policies, on bold new advocacy plans to bridge the digital divide and create fertile ground for new connectivity partnerships and alliances. The more than 360 pledges that we have mobilized will be instrumental in transforming the lives of billions around the world, people who right now are shut out of opportunities to learn, to earn, and to build a better future for themselves, their families, and their communities. Ladies and gentlemen, in my opening speech to this conference, and echoing the words of His Excellency President Paul Kagame, I spoke about the tremendous power of collaboration and the enormous difference that we can make as individuals and as entities if we commit to working together towards a better world. Just look at what we have achieved so far here in Kigali, and it's not over yet. With 150 interventions over the past 2 days, 150 individuals intervened in 3 minutes or less with very few exceptions. I think that's also quite extraordinary in the ITU. We had 10 high-level panels and 5 amazing spotlight sessions. I think these P2C pledges are really a testament to the growing recognition that benefiting others ultimately benefits all of us. The bottom line is that we will never properly unleash the vast untapped power of digital technologies to change our world until we get everyone on that journey towards the digital future that we want. I think this is an amazing start, but it doesn't end here. ITU is committed to expanding on the P2C vision. Our Partner to Connect online pledging platform will remain open. So if you haven't pledged yet, it's not too late. Pledge makers and the international community will be able to instantly and easily visualize these commitments, and we will hopefully be able to further scale and show the impact by being able to regularly view these on our P2C website. Of course, from our side, we will be tracking and we will be monitoring progress. So as I said, we're not done here. The next step, of course, is actually implementation. To highlight new pledges and to show the progress, we're also launching today our dashboard. I don't know if the team can actually put up the slide, but we have a dashboard that is coming out today that will allow you, if you're interested, to search for specific pledges and see which entities are contributing to the different topics. It will also contain, oh, you can see it, great, some high-level visual analytics. So ladies and gentlemen, pledge makers, friends, colleagues, the UNSG in his opening of the WTDC challenged all of us. He asked us to be bold and he asked us to be ambitious. I think we can clearly say P2C has done just that. The ITU and the global community is grateful for your engagement, for your generosity, and for sharing our vision of an inclusive, connected world where every person on this planet gets the chance to live their best life with the power of ICTs. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Ms. Bogdan Martin. I now invite Honorable Minister, Ms. Paula Ingabire, to also deliver her remarks.
Thank you, everyone. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. We need to see the excitement, much as we are coming to the end of the Partner to Connect Summit. I think it's exciting. Doreen has shared, great progress that has been made, not just over the last 2 days, but also the last few weeks when the Partner to Connect initiative was launched. And so if it wasn't for the, for your pledges, for the commitment that every member state, every partner has, we wouldn't be here today. We wouldn't be talking about, the pledges that have been mobilized to date and that will continue to be mobilized. We wouldn't be talking about the value of those pledges and what it's going to do in really bridging the gap, the digital divide gap, and connecting the unconnected. So a massive thank you to everyone that has really been part and parcel of making this truly a success. I know that our pledges will really enable us to move millions or billions of people in our different countries to become digital natives, to be part of the digital agenda that we are collectively driving towards. So a big thank you to all of you for all these contributions. Doreen, and to the entire ITU leadership, I want to thank you. You just showed us a great dashboard. I think what you're doing is making sure we stay accountable, so that as we talk about walking the talk, we are able to look back on what has been pledged, but we are also able to deliver. Because beyond the pledges that have been made over these couple of weeks and days, we need to be able to deliver. We need to be able to see what the impact is going to be. And so thank you for keeping us all accountable and making sure that we truly can deliver on the impact that the Partner to Connect initiative has created. So thank you very much for that. I think it's a great initiative. We'll continue to mobilize all the partnerships. I think the gaps we are all trying to address as partners are gaps that are eminent in our various countries, are gaps that if we, going forward in the next 1 year, in the next 4 years, when we meet at the next WTDC, we should be able to see the impact of what has been started during the WTDC 2022. So thank you very much, everyone, for your contributions. Now it's time to roll our sleeves and get the work done. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Minister Paula. And I invite Minister Ursula to also deliver her remarks.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I believe we can all congratulate ourselves for an excellent work done in the past few days, particularly Doreen and her team at the BDT and the ITU. The Partners to Connect Coalition initiative, which aims at fostering meaningful connectivity and digital transformation globally, needs to be formalized and focused. It's a great start, but we need to sustain it and keep up the momentum. It shouldn't be limited to the hardest to connect communities in the least developed countries and landlocked developing countries and small island developing states alone. We all need some help. And we are calling on all ITU member states to support a new resolution to catalyze our joint efforts to accelerate connectivity and mobilize resources across the 4 focus areas through the Partner to Connect Coalition and the multi-stakeholder model it represents. We believe this resolution will complement WTDC 17 Resolution 37 on bridging the digital divide and WTDC 17 Resolution 71 on strengthening cooperation between ITU members and the evolving role of the private sector in the ITU telecommunications development sector. In the operationalization of this resolution, the African region especially, having LDCs, LLDCs, and SIDs, looks forward to an action plan which involves ITU regional presence and regional telecommunications organizations. Let us resolve for the Telecommunications Development Bureau to promote the Partner to Connect program at regional and international levels to mobilize new resources and partnerships in alignment with the SDGs, the WSIS action lines, and the UN Secretary General's roadmap for digital cooperation. As ITU members, let's cooperate in implementing our Partner to Connect pledges and commitments. I believe as we report our progress and share our experiences, we'll be encouraging each other, learning from the best practices we unearth, and improve on our progress. Let's make this work, and together we can indeed change our world through technology. I thank you.
Thank you so much, Minister, for your remarks. And now we invite ITU Secretary General, Mr. Houlin Zhao, to also deliver his remarks.
Thank you very much, Fiona. I'm very pleased to join this important panel to show our efforts to make a gender balance. It's exciting to see a movement grow and take root. What we have seen here in the last couple of days and the months before that is proof of what's possible when we come together as one human community. Thank you to all those who have committed to increasing investment in ICT development. Thank you. Shall I start? No? It's been my life's work, a message I've taken to world leaders in the last few months, years during pandemic. And I'm pleased to see this level of commitments. Congratulations to all the people around this table and all those who have been involved with the Partner to Connect movement and the roundtable. President Kagame himself has mentioned the importance of P2C. I hope this event is one of the many more to come. You have set the tone for what I hope will be a very productive and action-oriented WTDC. There's nothing more urgent than connecting the unconnected to achieve sustainable development. I think that the Secretary General of the United Nations really want us to do our work to have everybody be connected by 2030, if it's not earlier. Let me finally thank our host, the government of Rwanda, for creating this extraordinary setting for partnership and collaboration. With that, I'd like to conclude my short remarks. You can see that with paper, I have more job to make my speech. But anyhow, since time is very short, so I cannot make my final speech without paper. Otherwise, I will take 10 more minutes to go. So with that, I congratulate you all for the success and wish you enjoy this wonderful project, Partner to Connect. Thank you very much. Fiona, back to you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Secretary General, and thank you to all our distinguished speakers. You may kindly take your seats. A round of applause as our speakers exit the stage. As we edge closer to closing this session on the P2C, I'd like you all to turn your attention as we play a video highlight of some of the key takeaways from the past 3 days. That video sums up the amazing 3 days that we have had here at the Partner to Connect Digital Development Roundtable. Ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of these roundtable discussions. We thank you for everyone who has been part of this. And as it has been said, we now aim to move from pledges to seeing concrete action. Thank you so much. I'd also like to mention that before we head out, women delegates to the WTDC and P2C are invited to the ITUD network of women working luncheon that is organized with the support of Qualcomm. The lunch will be served at the square tent outside, which is opposite the plenary room from 12:30 p.m. today. I do wish you all an amazing afternoon, as well as a good continuation with the WTDC, and safe travels to everyone who will be traveling back home. Thank you. Thanks. So 3 days just like that.
Thank you.